Okay, good evening, Town of Winchester. Welcome to the planning board meeting on May the 22nd. We have an action-packed agenda in front of us. Amongst all the ordinary things, we are going to have a joint session with the Design Review Committee. And they will be here at 7:45. So until then, we have some planner updates and some going over some of the action items, I think.
So can I just ask a question? I had sent both of you an email saying that I would go back to doing the action items of the meeting so that I fell behind. But I needed the current action items that you have, and I never received those.
Oh, I thought we did that right in real time when we were meeting.
I thought we did. Okay,
so I haven't.
So that's why I don't have it, because I have nothing to.
Well, I can even get it up here. So
lots of action items.
No, I mean for the document that I was running, reoccurring to.
So I put that into an Excel file so that I could do it too.
Yeah,
because
you should.
yours was like,
no,
I can't do it. I can't use it.
Yeah, right.
So it was a PDF.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
I
just
send you the Excel file that I was using to create it, but you got it.
I got it, and
so you're
I have it
going to
here.
manage that from here on.
Yeah.
Great.
So just send
Oh, that's-
Brian the action items.
Right.
And that will get sent out with the weekly update. So I think we're still going to do these weekly update.
Oh, yes.
And I'm just going to keep
Those
doing
are
that
helpful.
in order to avoid having to do all of that here, because everyone's so interested in them that we kind of get lost. In a good way, though, I
They're
think.
very interesting.
But the point is, we can do as much front end stuff. So, I think it's working. Honestly, it's really just me keeping up with it, which is what makes it work. And when I don't keep up with it, it doesn't work. So we have a process, and it's working.
Yeah, we may actually be moving to some specific software to manage action items. So that we
So
can
delete,
have dependencies and due dates. And
Right.
one of the things I'm concerned about is, for instance, we have action items to do things for the town fall meeting, but those are due in August, so we have to know to schedule things. in
Exactly.
advance.
I know.
So that's something that.
Well,
Brian
to
and I are
plan them well ahead,
discussing.
though, because time goes
there are
So
a
by.
can
couple-
that be a shared file so people can look at
Exactly.
it anytime?
So
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing about bespoke software for this stuff is it actually allows you to create dependencies and project planning and things like that. So you can say, I need to do this before I do that, before I do that.
Yeah.
So when you see when something's due, you get a list of everything in front of it. So it will be shared, everyone will be able to see it. You'll
Great.
be able to sort like on things like priority, all sorts of things like that. That's.
we're talking IT about this. This is why, and it's a question of
Yeah.
which program. We don't necessarily want to use
We get it.
Dropbox.
Thank
and-
you.
Yeah, so
Right,
it's,
right.
it's.
You'll
so-
be managing it. We just get.
You're going to be
managing.
shared. You'll have access. Some things you won't be able to edit. Some things you will be able to edit.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's something separate.
All right, keep us posted.
There are a couple of things on the action
I have
list.
them here.
Yeah, I'm not sure, I sent you a bunch of extra stuff after our meeting, but why don't you go through what we've got on there currently?
All right. So top priorities is draft RFP for North Main, coordinate joint meetings with Concom and Select Board.
You should add historical.
That is on our at 9:30 on our agenda. So
Okay.
We'll
I'll add
continue
that
with
too at
that.
9:30.
Yeah,
Coordinate-
it's just a
yeah.
continuing item, we just,
We're just coordinate meetings with MHP regarding the Waterfield site, the building department forms, ZBA. Zoning enforcement building commissioner meet with council after town meeting. We're supposed to coordinate that. So I know Art is in the middle of organizing a meeting for zoning board, planning board, and really any other boards and commissions about open meeting law, conflict of interest, that type of thing. And I think we're going to roll that into more general things if we can, depending upon how many boards and committees are coming, if we're going to do a zoning portion as
We need a
well, or if it's
zoning
going to be an
portion.
additional meeting. But
Right.
Art's fully
Okay.
aware. He's all on top of it. He was actually at the zoning board meeting last night.
Good.
Very good.
Excellent.
This was a good thing. Well, there's new members, good, bad, indifferent, doesn't matter. The idea is that there's new members. He should kind of be there doing a little bit of guiding without doing too much guidance, right?
That's right. That's right.
So he's doing that. Coordinate with the Historical Commission regarding substantial demolition clarification.
That's on their agenda for their next meeting.
Right. Subcommittee to review zoning bylaw inconsistencies. This
Oh,
was
hang on,
something
hang
that
on.
came up. Yeah.
Back to their next meeting, though. It would really help, the visuals are always really good. If you can get pictures, or Sean can take pictures when because he's out around, of those Maxwell Road.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You know, Maureen, I'll also email Jack and say, well, you need to look at Maxwell.
Thank you.
Yeah, you are the designated person for that, Heather.
Yep.
Subcommittee,
Yeah, go back, I interrupted.
potential subcommittee to review zoning bylaw inconsistencies.
Boo.
So when I worked in Swampscott, there was actually a zoning bylaw review subcommittee with not a single member from the planning board on it on purpose. So these are people that are interested in the zoning bylaw, that have an outside perspective in terms of things that may or may not, well, yes?
I know Art's, we'll need money for it, but the council's really ready. There's a lot to be done with the zoning bylaw, so I don't know if that's premature or the wrong people to be doing it.
Well, it's so
Let's-
th-
I don't
this
wanna
says
get-
this says zoning
No,
bylaw
but that's the first I've
inconsistencies,
heard
but
of
I
it.
think it at least what I did and what I somewhat envisioned for were a subcommittee that's unrelated to the planning board to come up with potential changes to the zoning bylaw. It's an idea.
I think it's a good idea, because I think having, we can do both things in parallel. There's no reason we can't have Art look at things and other people just to get new
I'm not
ideas.
opposed to other people,
Yeah.
it's just a waste of time, given what.
Well, it's not
Whose
our time.
whose waste of time though?
It's not our time.
It's not
Their
your
waste
time.
of time.
It'd be, if anything, it'd be a waste of my time. So
Yeah,
Well, okay.
that's something, but
That's
it's
a
not a
lot.
waste of your time.
yeah.
Hang on, go ahead. 'cause
Yep, subcommittee to examine the zoning bylaw in conjunction with the ZBA rules and regs, so making sure that there's consistency there. This
would be good.
is a conversation we've had for a while on what, so they're in the middle of updating their rules and regs.
Yeah, I did finally read those. They need
They're
a
old.
ton of, not just that, when you see what we have for our center business district, it's a whole different animal from their rules and
Yes.
regs. Totally different animal. Theirs is basically, vote for a chairman, vote for a clerk, vote for, this is how you run a
That's
hearing.
important also.
Yeah,
Well, it is, it is,
All the
but,
content, like what
Ours
is,
also had tremendous support with legal counsel. They did theirs.
pardon?
That's one of the key things that I
This
think,
is huge.
at least in my view, is that there's a difference between how they write their regs and, well, they write their regs as they read our guidelines in our zoning bylaws. And if they are not in line with what we have written, that's because somehow we are not communicating well enough, because it's their job to write their own regs. It's not our job to write their regs.
That's correct.
But it is our job to make sure that if their regs don't follow what we consider should be in the bylaws, then we need to tweak our bylaws so the zoning, so that it's clearer.
I think
or
we
it's
need
more
Art here,
restrictive.
because I actually, just as this was a separate document, regulations, and I've been looking at other towns, like I just pulled out this one little teeny-weeny thing from Concord. Regulations can expand and explain, for example, what is a neighborhood. That's the sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
They're just so not there, and
Well, I think it's important that we provide guidance in the right fashion.
of course,
And in my mind, that's ensuring that our language is clear and complete. If their language is not, that's their problem in a sense.
no.
Well, I don't think this board can tell the ZBA how to write their
But we
regs.
can work with council and work together, and I think
we-
understanding what is...
Well, I think,
Okay,
if
it's a
I,
conversation maybe for
And
another
the point
night.
is, I would like to get a subcommittee together so we can review how these documents
because I think it is
fit together.
important
And
that,
if at the end of the thing, we come out with a report which says, this is what the zoning bylaw says, and these are what the ZBA regs say, and there is a disconnect, then that's the result of the report, and at that point, we can move forward.
We're lay people. When I came into this board, we had no document like this either. Didn't exist. I didn't know that such a thing existed or was potential. That's the same situation there. You can't know what you don't know.
I don't
So-
disagree with you, but if the ZBA wants to work with Art with their regs, the ZBA will ask Art to work with them on their regs.
They can't know to ask any more than I would have known to
The
ask.
ZBA has a whole bunch of lawyers on it last night.
Not the same law.
If
I'm married to a lawyer, and he's the first person who will tell you, I'm not this, that, or the other
But-
kind of
but
lawyer.
Presumably, they would know that where they are
No.
ignorant and seek guidance where they're
It's not,
ignorant.
okay.
I mean,
It is
I
absolutely
can only
not.
assume competence.
That's not
We
competence.
can
Well,
put
after
this
all,
on
it
a
is,
different,
after all, it is the zoning board of appeals.
this would be on our agenda with the zoning.
Exactly.
Right.
We continue on the,
Yeah.
There's only a few more items here.
okay.
Coordinating meeting with Medford and Arlington Housing Corp. I'm in the middle of that.
Okay.
So both of them have already said, well, before I come to any plan board meeting, why don't we talk and see? So they're I've set up both meetings. So
Good,
we'll be
okay.
talking with them on the phone.
What is that one about?
So Medford and Arlington have community housing corporations. They've
Yeah.
set them up. We kind of want to find out their story.
Can
Yeah,
we
that'd be
invite the
great.
select board, please? And once they get set up?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if they want to come in. I'm saying that
Right.
they're basically like independently, totally. They're like, well, I don't know if I'm going to want to go to a planning board meeting, but I'd be happy to talk with you about anything.
Well, let's
So
invite-
Right.
that's
Well-
what I'm starting at.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, I think it is important for them to be aware, not only in the
Who's
general.
them? Who's them?
The Board of Selectmen.
Yes.
I think it's important for them to be aware, both in the general as well as the specific over time, because, they're like the chief executive board.
Oh no, we would do this with them. This is not going to be a
Yeah,
planning
that's
board.
what I
This is not going
mean.
to be a planning board thing where we just decide to do a housing corporation.
Well,
I
no,
thought they were
well,
talking
no.
about that as part
They
of
are.
the,
Were.
they're
They-
taking the lead in it in the housing,
Yeah.
we're just asking Brian to.
Okay, and that's,
Initiate that
and that's great,
communication.
and that's
No,
great.
that was actually, this communication was for me.
Oh, thank you, but I think you're in the same line, it's like.
Yeah, no, I think
This
everyone's
is-
between
yeah.
Housing Partnership Board, the Housing Production Plan Working Group,
Yeah.
and the Select Board. We're all in agreement here. It's a question of how long does it take, and let's do it.
I'm just going to let's do it.
Oh.
I'm not going to wait for the select board to decide to invite these people because
No,
we.
they don't.
No, we're gonna. We're,
So,
Agreed, but they really should be told as soon as the date's set, because they're
Yes.
interested
yes, that's
too.
understood.
Right.
Yes.
Well,
That's-
and invite them
saying.
if
Nobody
they're
said
willing to
it,
come.
so-
I mean, not if these people are willing to come. Of course, we'll tell everybody.
Right.
I
And
can't
so
force them
as
to
a-
come, but
No, nobody said that.
No. Well, this is,
So
but
as
this
a
is
follow-up,
You can give them a carrot.
we do, though,
Yep.
we all are eager to have meeting with the select board, so I hope we can get, I haven't heard that yet, but that's got to be.
yeah. I
scheduled
mean, you
as
saw our
ASAP.
June meeting schedule.
But that's got to happen no
But
matter
we have
what.
a quarterly meeting with the select board. It's a standing
Do we have a
quarterly
date?
meeting. I
Well,
have
when's
no
the date?
idea. But it's a standing quarterly meeting, so.
Oh, tell me the date then.
Well, we had one, 3 weeks ago? And so the next meeting will be. was it
That
4
wasn't
weeks?
It was
Yeah,
when I
no.
was
Yeah, that was
interviewed.
just for Highland, I guess. But no, I mean, the goal was June or July. That was what we said multiple
Okay.
times. I have multiple notes about it. It can't be June, so it's going to be July. I
Okay.
mean, I don't see how June is going to happen.
Well, because one possibility that I've heard from somebody on the select board is to run a 6:30 meeting together before one of our meetings, either theirs or ours.
That would be easy.
So then maybe we could do it in June.
Well, the previous meeting with the select board was not supposed to be only about Highland. It turned into that.
Well, it
Right.
was, yeah.
I
Right.
submitted agenda items which, for one reason or another, didn't make it onto the agenda. So I considered that a meeting, but certainly having one earlier than a quarter hence is good. So we'll do it as soon as we can.
Thank you.
I guess now that we've moved our end of the month of June meeting to the 25th, that's probably the most likely that we could all meet. We can meet before their meeting. Two more here, and then we'll move on. Draft language for GBD 2 and 3 for the side street residential lots. That's for town meeting. Landmark bylaw,
Yeah.
and then the last thing is create a document of when terms are up for planning board appointment positions. So this
Yeah.
is something that I'm supposed to coordinate with Suzanne
Yeah,
and
Okay.
it should
Mary
be
Ellen.
pretty
Good.
far along, yeah.
Yeah, it is quite. So we have two members from design review here. And that's all I have regarding action items for the moment.
So we have a 9:45 item on subcommittees, which is where we can, I think we would be talking about the landmarking, the building department forums, because those were kind of subcommittees that were set up.
And then
There's
zoning bylaw.
Also, I know Heather Hannon and Brian have been talking of maybe looking at ADUs. sorry, an ADU is an analog digital something.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Accessory
Accessory
dwelling
dwelling
unit.
Yeah, sorry.
ADW.
In my world, AD is analog to digital. ADUs, so I know that you guys, I don't know if you came to a
Thursday.
Thursday?
This
Were you
week.
Thursday? Okay, so that's kind of a mini subcommittee talking about ADUs because Heather made the mistake of sending out a very interesting website to us all about ADUs, so.
Oh, I have a question, just quick. Has it worked out? Is there now a time for the local historic district, otherwise known as LHDs? Is there a time
It's a
that's
Monday
now
night,
working
yeah.
that will work for you?
To Monday night. It's
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
June 18th. Yeah, they haven't gotten out. It's June 18th at 5:30. It's a Monday 5:30.
Hope your kids don't need dinner. Sorry.
They can't come.
That has been known to happen. Don't apologize if you do.
They sit in the back and they read their books.
I can get the
We've all
paper
done
out.
I know, been there, done
Maps to
that.
color.
They sit a lot, and they do. They go to Brian's office and they sit and
Yep, no.
draw him
no.
pictures.
You are definitely welcome to do what you have to do.
All right. That's all I got for action items. And basically, the idea is fill them up and then delete them when they're done, right?
Oh, one more real quick. Again, it's super quick. So I did get this draft of the zoning bylaw through November 2017. There's some teeny weeny things that I just want to make sure you catch, not in this meeting, but where like the strike through thing didn't, somehow it ended up printing. Most of it went out, but just an S or something like
Okay.
that. Just-
Yeah. Please let me know. It's still, like I said, it's still
and one
draft.
yeah.
So
I don't want to do this in this meeting, but I thought we changed dwelling under the table of use regs under CBD, and it was a reference to C7.3.11.4, and it should be .3, and it didn't get picked up. So this is Mary Ellen's
review
or
that again.
yours. So anyway, we should just do
The
it
other
out of this
issue
meeting.
with this is that for some reason the PDF has lost its table of contents.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, it used to have one, the old one did, and the new one has a random,
Table of contents that's kind of critical path.
so,
interesting.
With that, also, we're waiting for a quorum of the design review, correct?
yeah.
With that, one thing that is outstanding that needs to be put back on our action items, because prior to Diab taking over as chair, is I have been told that the planning board has action items regarding the name change of the select men to select
that's a
board.
good-
We have to
that's
go to
a-
town meeting with zoning changes to get that changed, and we are the last board or committee that's sitting on
On the open item list for
open
that.
item of that name
Right.
change.
Okay.
BOS.
And it's to town meeting.
Yep.
You mean changing in documents?
To
Yeah,
change
so
it in our
in the
documents.
zoning bylaw, it references the board of selectmen, so it should reference the
Select board.
By the way, before we even get to that point, could you ask Art, because that was the view of the town clerk, and with all due respect to her, but I do see if Art agrees that it has to go to town meeting. I'm not
Yes.
sure.
Yeah,
You've
he's-
asked Art?
Well, no, he asked me. He's like, "So is that bylaw ready?" This was like 2 days, or like right
okay.
before. I was like,
Oh, okay.
"No," and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's too late anyway." But yeah, next town meeting. So he was.
Okay.
It was clear that we had to
Okay.
do it.
Okay.
I was under the impression that the town voted to change the name, it automatically changes
That
through
would
all
be
the
mine.
town documents.
Yes.
Right. Yeah,
So
I
it
don't
would
see why town
seem,
meeting
yes.
was-
But,
No, it needs to
But apparently not.
Okay, so this is just to update the language in the
It's
zoning
it's a
bylaw.
new.
we just have to make sure the warrant article is.
Done.
Done.
Done and ready to go.
by August
Right.
15th.
There are a
Or
lot
the
of
due date is
people who
already on
feel-
the action item list.
Who thought
Perfect.
that we were doing it
Perfect.
intentionally or,
Really?
yep.
I'm-
Which, you know,
I don't do things like that.
not that, not the town.
No, well, we don't have enough to do,
No.
so,
Well, we weren't aware that and anyways, the select board who did the warrant could have easily have put in a warrant article to change also the name on the zoning. It doesn't.
Right, because they could easily have put a more general one to make sure that any external references
We
to
will take
the
responsibility for that.
Board of Selectmen
Yeah.
is now
I'm
the
fine
select
taking
board.
responsibility.
Okay, so
for
let's
it.
just move
no-
on.
But we gotta
There's,
remember
there's
folks-
no need
Folks in
to.
the
No worries.
DRC, are you expecting any further people?
One yes and two late. So Tracy said she was gonna come and.
Well, I mean, we can obviously talk with them. They're just not
Yeah,
voting on anything.
Adrian
It's not like we can't
and
talk with them.
Wouldn't it be good if the chair were here?
Yeah, it would.
'Cause- well, why don't we,
Do you want to push on and
Yeah,
bring
it's
some
your
of
call
our
in a
ideas?
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
And then
prefer
slide
if
it
we'd have a
in.
little bit, would you prefer to have a few more members of your board here?
I don't know, I think
I mean,
Not if we're going to
I
wait
think
25
if
minutes
we
for them.
wait
Yeah.
for them and
Yeah.
they don't come, I mean,
Will
okay.
you tell me what Maxwell is?
So, shall we
Maxwell
just,
Road is
does the
a
board
road.
wish to invite the DRC to the table?
Sure.
Okay.
Question is,
Well,
trying to skate around the demolition of the is it there within one view, so.
Oh,
We
yeah.
have to go look at Maxwell.
An accident and a few stitches.
I know.
I'm okay.
Oh, I hate one of those
I don't
ones.
think you have to.
What? I won't ask. We're on
Oh, dear.
camera. Maybe it's not too much.
Here, David, what did
Camera, I'm not gonna.
what did you do to
But
yourself?
I'll say, I walked into a closet door in the night, my son had left it open.
Oh.
I don't know why I was in the hall even.
Better than I looked a day or so.
And then I went on vacation, I wore big sunglasses.
I know. Well, I'm still doing this.
I should probably have my back.
you have both your back and your front.
Okay.
But you know, that happens to
The
all
only
of
way to
us.
avoid it
That
is
happens to
turn
all of us.
sideways.
I mean, I caught a toe in a tree root out in the fells. Boom.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Still killing me.
Sorry, Dave.
So
I'll
we
live.
never ended up with an agenda that's printed for this?
We've never ended up with a printed agenda, and that is my failure.
Yeah, that's,
Brian put it on the screen for us.
Brian, could you?
Sorry.
actually,
There's two
since
Heathers.
Julie's here, the
Heathers.
perfect thing
That's
to
right.
begin with is the one that didn't make it on any of these, which is the islands.
Yeah, we
This
have.
really
I have those up here.
Be on the committee, you gotta
Why
be
don't
named
we-
David.
Start there.
How do we just
There
throw
were,
it
there
up
were a lot
here?
of
Why don't we
Davids.
start with
We're
what's
allowed
on
to.
Brian's agenda as he's distributed it? And then-
So what I have is first is chapter 44, 53G. That's the first item of our DRC agenda, which is not the traffic islands. So I mean, the first item is chapter 44, 53G.
That's, see, where I think, I was suggesting we start with the traffic islands, just
We
because
can-
Julie's area is the landscaping anyway, so
There we go.
that would be.
Here they are.
Well, I actually am a little confused as to,
They just didn't make it on for no reason, I guess.
no, I'm a little confused as to how the traffic island fits in with the planning board. So if you could remind me.
Well, we appoint this representative.
Yes.
So, and this representative, Julie, is there because of her expertise in landscaping and horticulture. So we have a direct interest in that, and that.
Okay, I
that-
just, you know,
Yeah.
when I hear traffic islands, I think of,
It's all the beds.
no, I understand what they are.
Well, and then the
My
design.
question
Who
is,
let the
DPW
town
or-
yeah, I
coordinate
think
that?
DPW.
It was the
more than
design
anyone.
review committee, that whole project, David goes back, I think, as far as.
Yeah,
as-
but
Go
we
back
haven't
there.
done it,
I go
We've
back
been-
farther
we've
than
been-
you.
but we haven't
been around
done it
forever.
since I've been on, which is at least
Quite a
10
while.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while, yeah.
I believe it.
So,
hi Tracy.
Maybe just a touch of history here. This was started by the design review committee, and it was two things. It was getting the, actually initiating, finding landscapers who were interested in planting these. It got to be the point where there were people, not just landscapers, and I can say there's a certain attorney practicing in town who's got a space that was created and there's nothing growing there at all. So, but there were some very attractive signs that many of us, they're still around, and now they're being knocked over because of snow over the years too, but those were totally designed and supervised by the design review committee. The beginnings of the committee, probably you all know, was it was called the Beautification Design Review Committee, and the actual charge, if you go back into when it was created, was actually for the town center, so, to beautification projects for the town center. So a major thrust. In fact, I planted that birch tree and the other two birch trees with money that I had applied to ENCA for. So a lot of what we were doing actually was beautification. So we were applying for grants. Typically, it was ENCA that funded them, but there were sometimes the Winchester Home and Garden Club gave money to the town, and then we come up with these designs, and then we plant them. So time goes on. We were not applying for the money so much as just recruiting these landscapers, and then over time, then these signs were created. That was after I left the DRC.
That was Sandy Rogers. I
Exactly,
think when
exactly.
when a lot of this happened with Sandy
Exactly.
Rogers.
But the committee collectively was involved, and then that included planting on the town common. It included basically any town-owned land, and right in front of the town hall, there was a tree that's still out there that was planted. A woman came forward, she wanted to make a donation, and so a recommendation came from the DRC for the tree. Anyway, bottom line is, nowhere in the, what language that creates the design review committee does it say that you're going to have these cute little green signs made and put up, and when the DPW knocks them over in the winter, you're going to have new ones made and so on. I don't even know how they got made or where. You probably saw that. But
I think we saw that, and it involved the DPW, and it involved getting somebody who was willing to put in the time to put
Right.
these things together. And
Right.
it really took coordination, which was never coordinated through the design review committee. It was always through the DPW. Or
Oh,
somewhere
maybe
in
the
town
work.
hall.
Right.
to-
Right.
to
No,
make
understood.
sure, find out who wanted them, who was willing to pay for a sign,
Right.
who was willing to keep it up.
Right.
And I don't know where it all stands right
So
now.
I mean,
Because
it sounds like
I
this is
adore
not
them.
something the design review committee has been involved with.
we
for a
haven't been
while.
involved with it for a long time. We helped,
But that's how
helped set
we
it
end
up
up with that.
and handed it off, I believe, to the DPW.
So the
It
question
wasn't handed.
is,
I get rid of it.
do you want to take this up again? Or is, I mean, I'm trying to understand.
We're a generally powerless committee, so I think what we need to do is figure out whether the DPW or the town of Winchester is willing to support a program where if a business wants to maintain one of these things, they can put up a little sign. And it takes going out and talking to the businesses, which we
Right.
actually never did. We didn't go around and canvass the downtown
No.
community about who wanted to do it.
No, the
So how did
businesses
the
always
sponsors-
came to the
No,
DRC.
well, one could go through the chamber, I mean. you
Yeah,
know.
I think they went to the chamber, and it was, well, whoever it was, it never involved us meeting with any business. We just talked about,
It was Sandy.
it was Sandy and the Garden Club. I mean, the Garden Club, as not a town entity, got involved in all of this, too. And I think this was kind of a Sandy Garden Club thing, instead of a DRC thing. So I think it's a good idea. I think it's wonderful, but somebody has to coordinate who's going to ask the businesses if they want to be part of it.
Nobody ever did that. Even she didn't.
No,
I
well,
just
the
want
point,
to
that,
correct
but your point is very well
In the
taken.
future, unless somebody finds out if any business wants to do it, they're going to all just disappear.
Exactly, because I think that that's one of those things that you probably, well, you know, as with the street tree committee, we generally meet a couple of times a year just to sort of determine, you know, what's out there and who wants trees and so on and so forth, so that we can coordinate it with DPW to make sure that that happens. This would be similar, I would think.
It would seem to me that, and I don't know how to do this, I'm a little bit involved with town government. This seems like a Chamber of Commerce kind of thing,
No,
doesn't it?
because the traffic islands are all over town, and the chambers are really focused on the commercial aspect of the town center.
Right, but they're advertising. That's what I
Right,
mean. is that
exactly,
They're advertising.
exactly.
Well,
And that's how they get maintained, and that's who wanted to do them, was somebody who wanted to advertise.
Just to get around to the procedural part of this, is if the design review committee has no intention of continuing or
Right.
doing this program, then I'm not sure what this discussion will bear, what this,
I didn't know this was coming up tonight. We haven't been involved with this particular thing for many years. We
Okay.
got to help get it started, and it was being carried on through the DPW.
yeah.
So if we want us to go
I would-
back and look at it again, we will.
I think I would like to see the design review get involved in it, because, so we can not end up with this across from the post office,
I
but.
apologize, this wasn't on the agenda,
Right.
that was my fault.
But I think maybe go back as a committee and talk about it, because someone in government has to be a point person.
Yeah.
One board or commission
Absolutely.
has to be a point
Absolutely.
person, and your committee is the best point.
I agree.
For it, and with the best skill set to manage this, because we can go and give it to the chamber, they can do it, but someone has to say yay or nay at the end of the day. And the select board doesn't have the time to do it. The DPW actually probably does not actually want to have the responsibility for looking at the designs of it. They just want to make sure that it's safe and just
Well,
direct
so
it.
when you say set up by the designer, you mean we ought to start interviewing businesses who want to maintain one of
we
these things?
actually, I will say, because I was on the DRC when we were doing it, and it was even, I recruited Sandy, so this goes well before Sandy. Actually,
Sandy's
the name-
before me, so.
And I know exactly when it would have been, around 1985. So, but the reason the birch trees were planted, there were whole planting plans that we developed. Actually hired this guy, Joe Hudak, somebody, you probably remember who he is. He taught in the Red
Well, you mean to
But
create the
to
islands in the
design-
first place, but not to maintain
No, the
them.
islands were there, but to design the planting plans. No, the maintenance was at that point done by the DPW.
Okay,
This whole idea
but
of
as far as
maintenance
we're
being done by-
concerned, I think that's what happened. It was the maintenance of these things was falling apart. And in order to help the maintenance for the town, and I don't remember who all was involved, businesses got a chance to put a little thing in there and advertise it and say that they would help maintain it because the town wasn't doing it.
It's not so much, it was actually getting plant material, and then they did.
You said it was already there.
No, we bought, no.
But we should talk about how we're going to move
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah,
So I
let's-
just want to
This-
say,
this
like,
is
I
important.
did this
This
as
is going
part
around
of
in
my
circles.
job when I worked in the Salem Planning Department, and it's a big, I mean,
Right.
it's a big commitment of time. Somebody's got to, get the signs made, somebody's got to monitor, you got to, it's, you have to have the police there when they're planting it to
Right.
direct
Exactly.
traffic.
Exactly
I mean,
what I was
it's
doing.
not something the
Right.
Design Review Committee has really, frankly, the
Guidelines.
time to do.
Yeah.
You could do the guidelines.
Well, is the
All
town
they'd
going
have
to
to do
take,
is bring a plan and show it
is the
what they were
town
going to
going to
do.
take
I mean, that would
responsibility for
be
these
okay.
islands? Is the town,
They're ours.
DPW going to take responsibility for these islands? These are mini parks
They
in
are.
town. And
They are.
is the DPW going
They're
to take
parklets,
responsibility?
right.
What?
They're parklets.
There's parklets. And it seems to me
Well, let me
that,
throw out another thought. Because Sandy was just going gung-ho, which was great, and at the time it was, she had a lot of energy, and this was a passion for her. She had people it was landscapers primarily, so we keep saying businesses, but primarily it was landscapers, and it should be, because when they're businesses, as I said, they end up, we've got one now with just the sign for the business and no
Right.
landscaping, none, mulch. So I think guidelines, as maybe Heather said, would be a starting point that we want these to be landscapers and landscapers only. But I want to throw out that as she kept going and building interest in this, she had businesses coming to her, and she got the town, the DPW, to dig out concrete in order to plant them. Well, some of us who are interested in street design know that these little islands are actually very important for pedestrians as kind of little safety zones. And so there is another possibility, too, of just putting the concrete back into some of these islands.
Well,
So
I
it
mean,
might
just
be.
to keep us on schedule here, it sounds like we need to get the DPW involved, and the
Yep.
DPW would be the point person, and designs would be submitted to the Design Review Committee.
For
Because
approval.
that's the role that I think would fall in your purview better than anything.
no,
rather than-
I agree with that. And
I think
I didn't
that's
know this
fine.
was coming up tonight. The Design Review Committee will talk about these islands, which we haven't talked about for 4 or 5 years right now, and see if we have some suggestions
And so
about doing
then,
this.
another part of that is we need to get the DPW, we need to talk to the DPW to see where they lie, because obviously they do have control in some sense over these islands. So
These are town land.
we don't
All
know
of them.
what's
Exactly.
happening. So can we create an action item to contact the DPW and see what their role is? And and then when we find out more, we will, and if you folks can think about drawing up, or what you would think would be best in terms of what the design
The
is.
DPW may come up with some guidelines even for us about what they're willing to maintain.
Right.
Because they've got their staff and they've got all kinds of things they have to maintain, and they aren't going
Used to, but
I
now-
thought that the point was landscapers maintain them. When I've seen them in
They
other
are.
towns, I've seen the
Yes.
landscapers
Right.
who are being advertised, they're the ones who are maintaining
But-
them.
Yeah,
it would
they
be the
plant them and
But
maintain
And
them.
then
They
the
kinda
DPW
got
doesn't
out of-
have to.
So the
Just
point would be for the
landscapers, but
DPW
it's-
to be the point person, the point organization when landscapers want. Right now, landscapers probably don't know who to go to. It should be the DPW.
And if they don't do a good job, somebody doesn't kick them off. So we got to figure out who's running the show.
I mean, I think the DPW, I didn't realize this was an issue. I think it's absolutely clear that DPW is the one who manages
Absolutely.
this program.
Well, they
Yeah,
are.
I think
I
what
think
you're
so.
asking for is more guidelines in terms of the planting there.
I want-
Yeah, an overview.
And
Yeah.
consistent signage, I think, is
Well,
important
there's
too.
really,
Like,
I want to
Agreed.
suggest that there's really not a lot of management, and that's the issue. So when the signs get knocked over, they haven't been replaced, and when a new landscaper comes in, he's wanting to get his little PR out there and his promotion, and so there are 2 of those, not just one. Oh, and I want to do one more. I want your opinion about how is that going to affect these trees with the wrapping around the trunks?
oh, those lights, I was going to say, it's not good. They should not be on in the spring, because that's when the
That's when the
trees
growth.
are growing, and that will absolutely strangle the trees.
Thank you.
So,
Hot topics.
So
Thank you very
I
much.
think we've come to a way forward on this right now, so we can move on to another topic, because we're running out of time.
To wrap up on that point, I don't know if maybe there should be a meeting with somebody from DPW.
That's on our action
No,
item.
but I mean about also the lighting on the trees, and that's probably going to intersect with the chamber. But we've got to, I think, defend the trees because they are so important.
Is that
That's a tree committee.
Was that a tree committee issue?
That's tree committee needs to bring it
So
up.
if you could put an action item for Betsy to bring up lights on trees with the tree
Yeah.
committee.
It's been bothering me. for so long.
Yeah, so if the tree, especially when they're younger and they're growing, it really
Once
has a huge
they're
effect
established,
on it.
then you're in good.
If they're growing slower, but still,
But
they
they
shouldn't
can't
be
be
left
on
on in the spring.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
They've not been coming off, so they're
That's
on the
also a birch
common.
tree too, that,
What?
the birch
Oh,
trees
okay.
also
Well,
take
what
Oh,
really hard
yeah.
on them.
It's got like really
Because
thin
they've
bark
got really,
too,
they've
so.
had really.
I don't have that with me.
Thank you, Heather.
Recommendations to ZBA, how are things going from their perspective?
really
Okay, so the next thing in our agenda, and I know we want to set up space for your agenda. I don't know, we were kind of late on contacting you, but we wanted, if you have things to talk about. So the next thing that we would like to discuss is, I guess, your relationship with the ZBA. And I think Brian had some more useful words, if you could repeat those.
It was more of, it was just how are things going from their perspective? That was the question.
I think better.
I think they're better.
Yes,
It's turned out
yes, I
that
think
our
better.
meetings have, when it was beautification committee, it was downtown Winchester.
Yeah.
When I got started, it was all signs.
Right.
And it got to be some initiatives that we started. I'd say that 90% of our time right now is ZBA stuff. And some of it makes sense and some of it doesn't, because we tend to see, I guess we talked about this with the ZBA, there's areas of town where everybody's out of zoning. So everything, anytime anybody wants to do anything, they got to go through this process. And I think it's onerous for some. I'd say, not to pick on one place, but it's Precinct 8. It's very hard to build anything in Precinct 8
true.
without coming up to that business. And so we get involved and everybody else gets involved because it's grandfathered zoning. I don't know exactly what to do about it.
It's
would
tough. There's a lot of these 5,500 square foot lots in Precinct
Right.
8.
And so if somebody wants to put in a
Just
stoop or
setbacks,
put in
setbacks,
an entry closet, that's mostly what we're seeing. We're not seeing people putting on huge additions when they have lots.
In that,
Some,
in
some.
that
In
location,
that
you're
location.
you're right. You're either seeing a demolition reconstruction special permit,
Those you want to look at.
or you're seeing like a one-off nothing kind of like, okay, great, so they're bumping out 2 feet or whatever. You know, there's not too much. You're right. There's not much in between. It's usually either a new house because they can't physically put a very large addition on there.
They can't
So
do it.
it's all going to be these small incremental.
There's really
Additions.
no way around it, though,
So-
unfortunately.
I'm just saying, I don't have a great way to do it, but I think it's just one more hoop that we're making everybody in that area of town going through that other people in town don't have to go through.
There are smaller lots in other parts of town. You're right. There's a lot of,
There's a bunch of them in the far west side. So that's where there's 2 neighborhoods where we see most of these things, and the other ones we just don't.
that's,
Small, yeah.
I mean, it's produced by the history of the way the town was built, I guess. And I don't know that we can provide much relief because
Well, I mean, the easy solution that's not meaning the easy as in all you have to do is change a few numbers. Meaning change, you're changing setbacks, you're changing square footages. I'm sorry, you're changing minimum lot size. I mean that's the.
Except, I'm going to jump in, I'm going to interrupt you because this is really important. In Precinct 8, as Deb and I can both, because we are both Precinct 8 members and town meeting reps, Precinct 8 does not want the lot sizes decreased
I don't
because
either,
what'll
but-
happen is we'll see a lot more
Double.
two-families
You'll see a lot more
and
doubles.
Right, right.
And so we're going to lose a lot of the affordable housing, which
You're right.
town-wide
Right.
is saying we don't. So that's the problem. We can't, that's lot sizes where it starts to get really tricky.
Well, that's why I said like
Setbacks.
the easy thing would be to change those numbers, but that obviously has a lot of
there's a lot of
issues associated.
But
with it.
I'm sorry, I'm bringing this up. I don't have any great answers. We got a lot
No,
of brains
this
in
is
this
why you're
room,
here.
but
You're here to bring these things up.
But I think we all ought to think about some way to provide some relief to people who live in parts of Precinct 7 and parts of Precinct 8. because they're the people who are coming, the people who want to build a new swimming pool with, and whatever the heck it is. On the other part of town, they have enough land, they don't have to come before us. They shouldn't have to, I'm not saying that they should, but it's
There's
people
some
who have
ugly
small
stuff that's
lots and
being built
small.
unmolested.
What?
There's some ugly stuff that's going up without any look at it.
Well, that's true, but they got enough trees to be in front of it, so we don't have to see it.
I
But
mean,
the people with the small
but-
lots are the ones who are
Well,
being penalized.
But if
think
they
it's a fair
come
point.
to us, though, we understand that, and I think we are maybe more lenient because of that, because the lots are, and we realize that they don't
I think we've been more
have.
lenient, but I'm just
Yeah,
mentioning to the
Yeah.
committee, if there's some way to make it less onerous for these people, because of the meetings and the submissions they have to make. Because we like to fix up our own houses, and we probably have.
And unfortunately, in precinct 8, a small change can affect the neighbors.
That's
more.
what I was
Yeah,
going to
because
say.
it's
Because of
so
the
close.
proximity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's I don't wanna, I think it's a very good point. And I don't know, if we're gonna have to figure out a solution of some
So,
sort.
one thing that I'd like to bring up is that we have had, maybe in the past 6 months, a lot more of the applicants coming to the board, which is a big help. Because then we can talk to their architect, or we can talk to the homeowners and tell them like what we're looking for or what we're looking at, and kind of explain it to them. And then a lot of times they say, oh yeah, you're right, we'll fix this or we'll fix this. It makes it a lot easier. So one thing is that there's, so we don't have a good way to contact people, and
It gets to the forums.
yeah,
Well, I
yeah,
think- I
so
think
we
we've
need
talked
to have, we need to get their email address, and,
Yeah.
or Janine has to do it and just tell them when our meeting is, right?
So yeah,
Right.
so this is an item that we're working with.
8-9 months.
Exactly,
With the-
thank you. It's like, can we do it?
Yeah, so
Email.
the idea is that, one, the forms would be changed, but in addition to that, everyone, including the notice that goes out to all abutters, that there is
Yeah,
there
they
may
should
be
do
other
that, too.
meetings involved with planning board and or other, contact me. And then, rather than forcing the applicant and all the neighbors to contact design review and historical commission and the planning board, the idea that I would be the contact person.
Oh, okay, all right, so
That's
you
a
would
concept.
So,
coordinate
well, I
it?
mean, it doesn't, I mean,
But
talk about
Brian?
onerous, all these people that are trying to get in touch with, and the email addresses just aren't there. So I want to put a standard, just one sentence.
But the one sentence should say, be advised that your project will be reviewed by the Design Review Committee, the Planning Board, and possibly the Historical Commission. You could, I mean, it would be
They
nice
need
to
to have
put
the
the dates.
dates,
But
or-
That's what I'm saying.
But the
Yeah.
other way would be just
There's-
if it's email, like it could be an email response, or if it's on the form, it just says, please go to the Winchester, whatever, www dot, and then,
That's not going to work, because a lot of the time the meetings are not posted until 48 or 72 hours
true.
before the meeting, so no one can plan
They're
anything
not
out.
posted, that's right.
So there's no point in going. So that's why I'm saying I at least know roughly when the meetings are.
Right.
There probably is a
That's
better way
lot
to do
of-
it.
Yeah, that's a lot of email for you, though.
That's a lot of email, but if the
That
first.
puts it a person-specific procedure. What you want to have is you want a procedure that's going to work whether Brian is out
I
sick or
agree,
not.
I agree.
And I think that you just put the email address on the
For each
permit
of the chair,
application.
for each of the chair. Oh, you're saying put
On the permit
their
application.
put their email address so that you.
If
but
they
then
don't know their email address,
No, I'm
well,
saying. I'm saying so, but then
It goes
so
the
then
other
each of the
direction.
That's a bigger
chairs
problem.
are contacting the applicants.
if it's in their permit application,
If they
it's
have
not-
an email
it's not that
address.
onerous. I mean,
Yeah.
we've got to look at the address. We can look at the email address too, and then when
Sure.
we publish,
If you got, I mean, I was trying to
when we
take
publish our
that
minutes,
off of boards and committees. If you specifically would contact the applicants, I think
Well,
that's
by
great.
able, all they do is CC,
We're looking
but I
at-
do
we're
yourselves
looking
and
at
us
far
a
more
favor.
details
Blind
than this.
copy.
Well, I
Don't
mean, we
copy
could
the whole world. Don't
just,
do that.
we could just email them the agenda
That's what
with
I'm
their,
saying.
their,
Yeah.
when the
Yeah.
agenda is
Yeah.
announced, it goes
Right.
out.
But do
They get
blind
an
copy,
email,
because
it's up to
them
otherwise
to
they'll be trying
look
to
it up.
send letters to you, which isn't
One,
really.
one small bit of language I'd like to put in there, and then we'd like to do this for science too. People are encouraged to show up and
Yeah.
talk with us.
Yeah.
This is.
You make a big difference.
We would like to invite them politely to come and see us,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
that always works better.
It does.
I'm wondering, what do you think has brought this new influx of people?
I was about to ask that too. What's changing that they're suddenly aware of the
ZBA.
meetings?
I
The
think
zoning bylaw.
I think it has to do with site plan review in
Yeah.
general. So we looked back. I looked back because some people are saying that due to site plan review, we're having so many more petitions now. It's not true. So we are having more, yes. So out of the, it's about a quarter. So out of 10 petitions, we're having 4 that are site plan review only. So it is an increase. It's not nuts. But yeah, for every 4, there's one that's a site plan review only. I think site plan review has kind of alerted neighbors
Right.
that, hey, neighborhoods can get involved with this process. This new process that didn't exist 2.5 years ago, there's just more neighborhood talk when when a larger house is coming into play.
I think it's also that one line that the ZBA, if they disagree with the recommendations of the planning board, design review,
Right.
historical, they have to define why they
Right.
disagree. So that gives everything in your meeting or our meeting or historical
Weight, yeah.
more weight. So I think that's also why Brian mentioned to me earlier that we're seeing some petitions are actually going and bringing new drawings, right?
Before,
Yeah.
yeah.
Before the
yeah,
ZBA, and
yeah.
then they're going to get continuance, so then the drawings can be recirculated
Revised.
back. The revised can be recirculated to us and to you and historical, and then we do another round based on the feedback provided by the 3 boards and commissions. So I think it's working.
I think
So this
it's
uptick in
working, but
attendance is purely because of the bylaw and people being more aware of the
Yes.
process.
Yes, which is
Imagine
good.
what would happen
That's
if
a
we
good
gave
thing.
them an avenue to say, by the way, this email, this agenda, this is the day we're going to talk about your project.
Right.
I mean, I just want to point out that this is anecdotal evidence. I think
Yeah.
it would be useful if.
Well,
when
we've
people
seen a
sh-
tremendous uptick.
There's still, but the correlation between the change in the bylaw language, and it's just a correlation. So what might be useful is when you have people show up, ask them why they're there. And
Yeah,
that way
that's a
you'll
good
know why they're there.
Well,
Because,
do you have-
I mean, we're making these assumptions that
No,
it's this new
I
language.
could tell you, we saw a big uptick in special permits 2.5, 3 years ago. I was still the vice chair, and I started bringing in a projector so that we could actually
Yes, right.
increase
Sure.
what we could work on. And you could hear the crickets at the meetings. There was nobody. And it's only in about, I think David was spot on. It's 6 months.
Which
About
isn't
whether it's 6, 7, 8 months.
But I
don't
think
want
we
to
still
split
should
hairs.
ask.
I mean,
We'll ask.
each
We'll
time,
ask for
so
sure.
what
evidence,
brought you
but I
here?
think actually asking them why they're coming might give us, if it corroborates that, then great.
Well, also, many of them, it's either the builders for whom this is repeat experience, and then the other is people who do have lawyers, and when the lawyers are people
We've
working
seen
now.
architects, a
Architects.
few.
Architects too, yeah,
Architects.
they know the drill, and
I mean, we should do the same. When someone shows up here, say, hey, we've never seen it before, why?
But what would it take to get the permit modified so that we can at least capture their
We're
email
working
address?
we have a,
It should be very simple is the answer.
yes, we have a subcommittee.
We
working
talked
on
about
it
this
for
in
us.
this
How
room.
long ago, right? I think we have a couple documents about it,
We
actually.
actually have a subcommittee that's working on the building department forms.
Great.
So that's a step.
Yes.
The other
And
thing
I think
is,
it's forwards.
to point out that in our last meeting, you actually said that you said you prefer to have them there and you get better results out of it. I mean,
Absolutely,
it's on
yeah.
record. and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
on-
I'd like to say it again. We're actually nicer to people when they show. It really usually works out much better when these
It
people
usually works
show
out for everyone.
Absolutely.
It rarely, the only thing that's ever an issue, and it hasn't been in quite a long time, is if neighbors kind of get into it during the meeting. But outside of that, everything is positive.
yeah, I should actually mention.
And that's a real
it's
minority at a
Maybe
time.
going without saying, but it's worth saying anyway, because the whole neighborhood doesn't show up typically, you're getting the proponent, and that does, it takes some experience with managing that, so.
Well, that's why I wanted to
Because,
put
you know,
this.
maybe, I've been hearing from neighbors who've been really upset about some of these ZBA rulings, and it's like nobody knew that it would bother the neighborhoods that much, and that actually is a criteria of how it impacts on the neighborhood, or the abutters, whatever.
Well-
So they sometimes feel like, gee, how did that happen, and why are we, it's like the proponent or the person with the project has all the advantages, and the abutters feel that they're getting kind of blindsided and they're trying to catch up at the last minute.
So that's why I think it's really important for for the abutters notices that go out, those, like, they should know, or not, obviously,
They
we're
feel
not going to
they're-
know when those meetings are, but they should be alerted just like the
Exactly,
applicant is
yeah.
alerted.
Exactly.
Not your, I mean, you're obviously not, no, we're not going to be
No.
alerting the abutter or
It is
boards and
an
committees or
issue,
not, but
isn't
they
it?
need to know when the design review meeting is, so it's a fair
So
game.
it's on the
No,
website
or at
when the
least where
meetings
it's-
are, right?
Again, the
If
ones
you're-
that have happened
Yes.
the best with us are the people who have gone to their neighbors and talked to them.
Oh, of
and
course.
and come
Absolutely.
in with
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
And so
No,
if, tell them, go talk to your neighbors. I mean, these are sort of simple things. Talk to your
Yeah,
neighbors.
but
They
some
come.
of them have had very unhappy neighbors
well,
too.
David, on that subject, what do you think about adding that as part of the permit, as a step, as a suggested step?
I'm not,
Can
as a
consult with your
suggest,
neighbors.
anything, for me is a suggestion.
So you can
I
put
don't
that
have to
in-
get I don't have to get permission from every one of my neighbors before
I
I do
didn't
so.
suggest that,
But
but you
I
pointed
think
out-
I think it's been very helpful,
No,
because
because
people
I-
have
you-
come in
you-
with
you could-
letters
Rules and regs, they
from
just
all their
strongly
neighbors.
suggest
Exactly,
that.
you could put,
Yeah.
exactly.
Is it
you
in
could
the
put some
ru- it
admonitory
is there
language.
in writing
Yeah.
somewhere?
I don't think
Yeah.
so.
Just
I
so-
think
Think
that's
so.
that's a
It
change.
is.
So, and
A little
it
bit
is
of
a
gently
strong
admonitory
suggestion.
language.
hang on.
But ours is an inward-facing document. Unless somebody actually knows to go to the design review committee website and they look and they find our handbook and they roll through it, it's really intended as
A working
So
document.
a
the-
working handbook for
Yeah,
us,
yeah.
as opposed to an
abutters-
outward-facing reminder to an applicant. Check with your neighbors.
The abutters get a letter, though. That letter, at the very least, needs to be revised and advise the.
That's exactly what I'm
Okay.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
It also sounds from what you're talking about is that maybe you need a document to give to the developers so they understand. As you pointed out, your document is inward facing, so maybe there's something like we have these CBD regs, which are, they're for the applicants to understand what we expect of them. And so maybe there needs to be some sort of design review committee.
Well, we're,
rules of the
I
road
think
for
it's the
applicants.
bylaws. It's in the bylaws. We, in fact, tell ourselves to refer to the bylaws for the, the
Yeah,
conditions
but
we're
there's
reviewing.
I think it would be, if you wrote it in plain, non-bylaw language, that would be accessible, it might be useful.
we can also
Well-
do it too. We don't
Right.
have to let, meaning our rules and regs should say that as well.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm just, you have things in your rules and regs and your bylaws, and if people aren't getting to them, then there's a communications issue, and we can't expect them to change their behavior, because apparently they're not going to. So, so that's a suggestion.
We are seeing a change in behavior, though, and I think the whole about talking to your neighbors, if they are using architects and they're using designers, which is the whole goal, that designer or architect on their behalf should know the process, because they're being paid to know the process, and should be telling them, we need to meet with your neighbors and talk to your neighbors. We should be,
More often than not, though, we're seeing that.
we're starting to see
Yeah.
that. No, I know. So that's what I'm
The
saying.
ones I've
is-
seen lately, I
Yeah,
think
no,
that the people are going to the neighbors and coming in with
that's
letters.
how you get it through.
As
I'm
they're-
aware of, because
I know.
there's several different things that I know of in different neighborhoods of people not hearing about it because these were very aggressive additions and the neighbors are really upset. So nobody's going to be saying, by the way, I'm going to blow this thing up in front of you, in your back, in your back window.
They know intentionally do not tell their neighbors, but
Right.
at the same time, that they do get a notice through the letter, and then they go through the process. It's my biggest concern is that letter that goes to the abutters does not say
Right.
specifically what is in the zoning, that it will be reviewed
Exactly.
by these
These
boards and
boards,
commissions. Please look at the website
Yeah.
or contact the
Right.
chair of these.
You've got my +1 on that.
Yeah, no, I think that
Just out-
doesn't
outline
sound
the
like a
procedures to
difficult.
'em.
And that's just a letter that comes out of the building commissioner's office, zoning enforcement officer,
Yeah.
technically. So we just need to get that in there. That one sentence, and Art can provide it very clearly and put
Yeah.
it in. But we keep going in circles, and it should have been in a long
Exactly.
time ago.
Right.
And the town webpage URL to encourage them to go actually look it up.
Right.
When the meetings are.
Yep, and they can also,
Webpage, they'll
Yeah,
find all
once
of
It
it.
at least,
Yeah, yeah.
it'd at least get them maybe to call someone and be like, "Oh, hey, when is this meeting?"
there is a specific way to get on the agenda, get sent the agenda, because I know we have people who
Well,
specifically
that-
request our agenda.
That's
when
because
everything-
Suzanne has a list and sends out the agenda
Yeah.
to that list. I mean,
That's what it really comes down to, is if you want to be put on the planning
Actually,
boards.
that's a good point, though. not to call Brian, call Suzanne. At least,
She'll know when the planning board meetings are, but
And
she doesn't
she'll know
necessarily
when-
know
but
when
she
the
could
design
know
review
when-
or historical
but she
commission.
could. That would not
But
be
are you
hard.
saying the language should include
mechanism that I
contact
think we can
so-and-so
figure
to
out
get
how
on
to
the
do.
No.
We can do that
Or to get on the
offline.
agenda?
We're welcome to contact them when we issue our agenda, as long as they give us that simple email
We
mechanism
wanted
to
to,
contact
so,
them.
yeah.
So
But
we'll
then
come up with a
I'm-
mechanism. There might
hang on,
actually be
hang
a
on.
technical.
Just worth
way to do
repeating,
this.
but it's not just the proponent.
It's the butters.
the abutters.
Right.
And you
Well,
won't
the
get the
abutters
emails.
goes back on the process for
So that just
notification.
goes out with the letter.
But they won't get the emails. So
I
they have to
think-
figure out when the
I
meetings
think
are.
there's
That's-
some
that-
onus on them to do their own look.
No, yeah, you say if you're, there could be other meetings, contact.
But that's where it shouldn't be.
They don't
you.
actually have to though, because they can be put on the mailing list, the email list. If you would like to be on the mailing list for the
That's-
agendas of the planning board, please contact.
Well,
you wanna
email
be on-
Suzanne.
Yeah, Suzanne, who does there's someone who does this historical commission. You don't have a secretary.
Right.
So who sends out your agendas?
Chair.
So again, we're working.
So it'd be the
working-
chair.
I think
But it could also, Jen
They can
Cafarella
just
can also
tell-
do it.
we can solve this. I think there are several different ways of solving this, so.
I just don't want one person. I don't want everything put on Brian because
Me
that's
either.
horrendous.
Yeah. Touche, bravo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little
bit. We have
The
weightier
problem
matters
with
to try and
those
deal
things
with.
is then you have multiple points of failure.
Well, I mean,
So you have to
so,
make sure there's no single
well, right
point,
now,
there's no multiple
pretty
points.
much, we
So,
we meet once a month, and we review pretty much everything that comes in that month at that meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
So all they need to do is look in the website and see when the meeting is,
yeah, we'll,
right?
yeah,
Right.
well,
So, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like, if it says
Yeah.
that, like,
Yeah, the historical commission's not the same way because they ebb and flow a little bit more with
Yeah.
the demo permits coming. 'cause
Right,
they
yeah,
have a time crunch.
they could meet at any point,
Yeah.
essentially,
I
so.
just want to
Okay.
point out we've got 15 minutes left.
okay.
53G? Could
So, yeah, we haven't talked about that yet.
That's what's next on our agenda. It's 53G.
Yep.
It's the-
Okay, so you want to lead this, Maureen? This is your item.
Oh, well, I just pulled out Concord. I didn't send it to everybody. I wasn't sure if I could send it to the planning board, but, bless you, we do call out 53G in our regs for the CBD, and of course, we're the permit granting authority, so we call it out. I did look at the regulations again for our zoning board today, and I note that they do allude to 53G. They don't call it out, MGL, et cetera, but they allude to it specifically for engineering, and they don't explain that it can be used for a whole lot of other things. So I do think maybe, I love this, just one sentence. A consultant selection, this is Concord, in hiring outside consultants, the board may engage architects, planners, engineers, lawyers, or other appropriate professionals who can assist the board in analyzing a project to ensure compliance. In analyzing a project to ensure compliance with all relevant laws, ordinances, bylaws, etc. An outside consultant shall assist the board prior to action by the board in plan review, impact analysis. So in other words, you, as a design review committee, are advising us, and you could be saying to us, which we are very much aware of, that this needs a design expert. And I will add, it's before the permit is granted, and it also can be money that works with implementing the project. And so that means oversight once the project's underway as well. So we didn't quite get to the end game here, which would be the first time we've done this for design review with our CBD project. But we did, as you recall, hire Dennis Carlone to advise us on a project on Elmwood that's going forward. If we had done it, I gather at the time of the permit, this was Brian's reading of it, that it was before the permit was approved,
Yeah.
then we could have asked for the money in escrow for actual oversight, which includes, actually it's already in here, that we could ask for samples to be laid, for example, of masonry and so on. So this is a huge opportunity. Now, with a project like Winning Farm, that was something where we were advisory, just as you are, but collectively, the ship sailed for us, and you weren't, and I gather you weren't aware of how it could be implemented. But again, we're in a new world, I think, with new members coming onto the zoning board, and we all collectively should be working together to use what is being used, like Town of Concord, in communities where we're trying to control and guide the design to a better level through 53G. So it would have to go through the ZBA for large projects like Winning Farm.
Maureen,
If I may, yeah, I think it would be helpful to people out there in our viewing audience as well, if you could just sort of explain very, very briefly what 53G is.
Okay, we've been talking about it already. It's a state's, you could bring it up, Brian, it's on the web. It's a little bit, it's extremely
Most of us
legal.
around the table know, but.
Yeah, I would say just talk, or I could say something.
Okay, Brian.
Just
go ahead.
quickly.
It allows special permit granting authorities to hire outside consultants at the cost of the applicant. So what we can do and what you can do is say, zoning board, you should really please try to hire someone because this is a very large or a very impactful project. And this is standard for very large projects for stormwater and traffic and that type of thing. Generally not done as heavily for design, but not that we can't do it. It's totally within, Maureen's 100% right. We've already done it once actually for the CBD. But yeah, it's essentially forcing the applicant to pay for peer review of what the project is, whether it's stormwater, traffic, design.
Well, of course, design's the issue here.
So I imagine that this would be, you'd have to write up a specific proposal to the ZBA, as would we, for one of these, saying here are the issues we're concerned about, and we need further guidance and a design.
I know we've talked about it before, but how was this entity chosen? By you, by the ZBA, by DRC, by
the special permit
Design
granting
Selection
authority has to physically choose it through recommendations from anybody. But the special permit granting authority is the one that chooses it.
and they can just choose whoever they want.
Well,
It
there's
doesn't have
law
any-
again, consultant
It's not
selection.
DSB and all that sort of
No.
monkey business to find somebody. Okay.
Well, here, this is again Concord, but outside consultants shall be selected by the board, in this case it's planning board, which is the SPGA in Concord, and retained by the board in accordance with the town's procurement requirements, with the actual and reasonable cost, that's key, for their services to be paid by the applicant. By the way, there's also an appeal process if the applicant thinks that the consultant isn't appropriate. So it's
Right, but the procedure for this town would be that you have to advertise for it, you have to interview various people for it, right?
uniform
No.
procurement.
No, if
Or
it's,
can you just pick somebody you like?
Typically, we get 3 quotes, and it depends. Sometimes the applicant is more or less aggressive about how they want the process to go. If it's under $10,000, the town doesn't have to.
Right.
Okay, under 10, okay.
yeah, and.
And most of this would be.
Okay,
Yeah,
fine,
for
fine.
sure.
No, I've
No,
been
the
through enough
process is
DSB
really
stuff
important.
to
Exactly.
ask the question.
And one important thing would be for the design review committee to come up with your own list of people that you think have the competence in these areas and present those to the ZBA, because you are probably the best group to find people like this. And so I would hope that they would take your competence into consideration when they looked at this list.
This is also for 40B applicants also?
Oh, any
Well, yeah.
any
That's the
application,
other big one
any
is-
special permit, site, anything
Because we
that's
just keep
before
talking
the
about
board.
site plan,
One
but
of the advantages is just the way we're describing this little bitty business of the traffic islands, but these are big, so big, and just to understand the materials, and I know you reviewed Winning Farm materials, but really, somebody should really know what the window is, or what the shutters are. Are they going to be screwed on plastic shutters? Well, you probably would catch that, but what's the latest synthetic something or other is...
Right, what is the finish, you know?
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
so, and that also, there's so many questions, that person can also be reviewing it and then come in and talk to you all and give you the reaction that that person has. But as I say, also help write up the conditions that then would presumably be sent in your memo that goes back to us or back to the ZBA. The ZBA actually is more concerning to me because we have such a very elaborate structure here for working with.
So I have a
This
question.
is possible for a
Little-
40B project?
Yeah.
To run it through this?
It's routine.
yeah,
It's routine, okay.
Yeah.
you just got to make sure.
So stormwater and traffic guaranteed.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
like whatever, more than 90% of the time. 40Bs that are more than 20 units are, well, maybe not traffic, but stormwater for sure. But yeah, any of these 100 units, both are being implemented. Design could be implemented as well, but that's a standard process. They're using 53G for 40Bs.
That's what
So,
we're-
I-
that's what
Outside of
we're-
those, what's your trigger? What's your trigger as a group to
There's no-
decide that
it's-
it's time to ask
How
for this?
impact it
Judgment.
is.
Judgment.
It's really
Yeah, there are no guidelines. Is the short answer.
I think we used it appropriate. It was used appropriately on our part on the
Elmwood.
one on Elmwood,
Mm-hmm.
and we brought in a design.
Specialist.
Yeah, design specialist to look at it. The one thing I wish we did do is drainage and site analysis on that. We did not pull someone in on that.
Well, and I wish we'd had oversight of construction, especially look at
Yeah,
what's
so
happened.
that
The
was my,
permit's now
that was
been
my
sold.
question
The whole
is that
project's been sold.
you're asking for this, like you're asking them to help you review the design. Can they also help you approve things during the construction?
Yeah.
And we didn't get that, so.
Okay, so,
Yes,
I mean,
that's
that would be helpful because that's where we've
Almost
seen.
more important.
Exactly,
Yeah,
because things,
because,
that's
like,
where
we-
things fall
Stick
down.
to
We
what you
have,
said you
like-
were gonna do, right.
We
Agreed.
have approved materials or colors on projects, and then they have not
Right.
been
Right.
implemented.
Fancy patch,
And
yeah.
there's nobody that's been looking at that. So you're saying that we could actually make them pay for someone that would help with the
Yep.
construction
That is possible. Yes.
oversight?
That would have to be done though as part of a condition
As a condition of the
that
permit?
the ZBA
Right.
puts on the
Or-
permit.
As part of the
So
permitting.
there's there's some moving parts there that are
Yeah.
outside of yours and our control.
But in your
Not in
letter,
the CBD, though.
Not in the center, but yes.
in your letter to the ZBD, that's where you would state we would like this as a condition,
Okay.
and based on if you take.
Well, that sounds, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
you
good.
obviously are only
great.
breaking that
Yeah.
out for
Yeah.
like the ones where you feel you need help, right? I
Winning
mean,
Farm.
Yeah,
Right.
like
Winning
exactly
Farm.
like a large
Huge.
project like Winning Farm, for
Right.
example, would probably make sense,
I
especially
just-
related to all the materials
Where every place
choices
that
that they
turn
use.
out to be.
Yeah.
You
Any-
bring up
What's the
an
place behind?
important point in that
What?
if the materials
Across
that
from
you
Homies.
Approved.
Blanking out.
approve
What's the name?
are not used in the
Pansy
project, and they're a condition in the
Oh,
ZBA's
no, Pansy
permit.
Pass.
Right.
That's the one we ever turned
Then
down.
you know
That's
about
turned out to
this.
be-
That's a zoning enforcement officer.
That's zoning enforcement
So that
officer.
needs to go to be reported to the zoning enforcement
But
officer.
the problem with the pansy patch, and Betsy and I were here when it
The
was permitted.
pansy patch is really the
Yeah.
one I'm thinking
Yeah,
of.
Right.
It just, if you've got the outside consultant hired under 53G, they're watching actually seeing it before it starts. It's just, you're a
That's,
whole
we were
different
just
place.
talking about
I
Pansy Patch. That's the one that would
understand.
help.
I'm saying in general, regardless of 53G isn't, and then 53G is not going to be involved in all decisions. And the ones, I'm sure that you've come up with recommendations which have not been followed. And if they are written in the special permit language and they're not followed, and you know that, then please write to the zoning enforcement officer and copy the town manager and the ZBA so they know this is happening.
Exactly.
Because I don't know how much of that
Because,
knowledge gets out.
because it gets to a matter of enforcement.
I think we have. I
I
mean,
think-
not,
I think
not
we-
recently, but we
I
did a
think we
few,
made
we
suggestions,
did.
but they were not taken, and I
Look
don't
what
know that
happened
they
on Shore
were
Road.
ever
Well, I mean,
blessed.
it's, look, if the knowledge isn't out there, then nothing can be acted upon. If you put the knowledge out there and no one acts on it, then that's unfortunate,
But
that's.
they, I mean, I guess that isn't there some impetus on them because they are issuing an occupancy permit based on
That's right.
a set of
Yep.
approved drawings.
That's
And
correct.
if there's a condition that says materials, I mean, they
just-
should
it's
have the
the same
information.
thing as the height has to be 37
Right.
feet. I mean, it's
Right.
the same thing.
Same thing.
I agree, but I think that the more eyes that look
Yeah,
at
no,
it,
we definitely would,
Yeah,
we
I mean,
definitely would say something.
it's a complex machine, the building department, and so you
Yeah.
know they're pretty stressed, so
It's almost like they should have two visits. One is for building code visit, and the second one is a zoning
I agree.
visit. And
Zoning
even though it's
enforcement,
one
right.
person, there should be two visits. We can ask the select board to associate a fee with the second visit for the zoning
Oh, that's a
review
great idea.
Right.
before the permit sign off. But they really should be two separate,
Right, and that should be
Meetings.
done before any kind of certificate of occupancy is
yes, is
granted.
issued, that you have to have a meeting in two separate site visits. One to go over the zoning conditions and requirements and make sure they are met and signed off, and then the other one is the building. And
Okay.
then we can cover the cost of that through a permit with a fee for
Right,
the,
right, through 53G.
no,
This is just straight
through
fee.
a straight fee. So like
But would
if you
that
have
be
to
for
go.
everybody?
Yeah, for anyone who has conditions placed on their, but it's
Placed
not
on their
that much,
permit.
it's like $50 or whatever, but it just helps cover the additional cost and the additional staff it takes. And
Right.
we do it
Review.
for the fire, you have to pay to have a fire inspection. We do it for Board of Health, we have to
Right.
pay. So it's the standard.
Yeah,
It's nothing, and it wouldn't be anything that would,
Yeah, you're right.
yeah,
so that should go back to the select board
yes.
for a thought.
Joint meeting.
Okay, so we're now at, we have 3 minutes left, but we can push it because we were waiting. We were a little-
The only other thing that was on here that we had was outside of an email address on these special permit applications. Is there anything that you're looking at and you're like, they've done everything right, but you still want more? Is there something that should be required in the special permit, site plan review application, or that you're just not getting? I'm not talking about like a missed requirement. I'm talking about, that they did. I'm talking about a new requirement, something like that. Do you have enough information to review the projects? In general?
I think so. I mean, just there are some incomplete applications,
Right,
but
that's
other
their
than that, I
problem.
don't
That's
think.
not true. That's
yeah.
not our problem.
Do you,
Right.
can
No,
you
I
think of
think- I think
anything?
we-
I mean, we usually
the
get
quality
the
of the
elevation.
submittals has been getting
Better.
better.
We've certainly been getting
That's
a lot
good.
more architects.
We,
Yeah.
we got
Yeah.
one or two that weren't up
I
to
noticed
snuff,
that.
and we
Yeah.
said that's not enough to see. So that, I think that's worked so
Yeah, we've
far.
had to
Yeah.
push them back, but not many.
When I review the applications from the design perspective, the houses are all not inside context in all the elevations.
Oh,
Would that help in any way? I mean, I think it would.
I do
To
too.
know, we pull up the pictures and we're looking at the elevations through photograph and then try to me visually
Superimpose,
can take
yeah.
that picture and supersede it in there, but I don't think.
So we
That's
look
mine.
at Google Earth.
We
We pull up Google
do
Earth
go-
and we
do
try
a
to
lot of
like
Google
look
Earth,
around
yeah.
You
the
kinda have to.
neighborhood and
It's better than
see.
anything
Yeah.
that they're
I
providing.
mean, we try to
That's
drive
true.
by, but
That's
I mean,
true.
at the meeting, we can kind of look.
The,
Right.
the only
That way.
thing that's kind of an issue, and that's why Janine has definitely been pushing them, is like you cannot submit enough pictures. So the reason
Yeah,
why
yeah.
is because Street View sometimes is from October of 2012.
Yeah.
You know, you're looking like, well, this is not what's on the ground right now. So it's a great tool, but
No, I'm not
Well,
saying we
that's
don't.
a
We
good
shouldn't
point,
have the
because some of the
photographs,
pictures we
but-
have, the houses
yeah,
were
you got to
different
immediately
colors.
look at the date of when that Street
When
View
that's
was
it.
captured, because
That's right.
there was a huge amount of Street Views done between 11 and 13. So you'll see a lot of that, at least in Winchester.
What about a photograph of all 4 elevations of the house in
Currently.
context?
You mean from the house looking away or looking
So
at
in
the house?
context, it means you can see the house wherever you can, in context to the abutter. That's what we're
Yeah.
missing. So we can sometimes, which isn't always
Right.
right, that site plan we have of the whole area, which is coming out of Janine's book, I believe.
The assessor's map.
The assessor's
That's
map.
good, yeah.
That's not much of anything.
Doesn't show much.
It doesn't
yeah.
show, and you don't know what's
It's
going
not
on
updated all
with
the
the
time.
house next to it. We have to go look. Half the time it's covered by trees, so we're missing the context of that house in perspective. And the other thing
Also
is
topographic relationships.
I
Yeah.
mean, when we, whoever has whatever,
We divide it up
we
among
divide it
5
up,
people.
and we all try to, whatever one we have, we try to go by there ourselves, in person.
Yeah.
So one person.
And
in
sometimes
the
you're right,
meeting
you can't
has
see
seen
much
it,
because
Yeah.
of the
seen each place.
vegetation, but sometimes you can.
Right.
So I know that I go by the addresses and I'm familiar with them. I know you. The ZBA is not going in
Right.
front of. So they're looking. So when we say it doesn't fit the neighborhood because of this, they are not pulling up Google Earth. They are not seeing the same things. We are gathering that information, and we aren't providing it to the ZBA, and it's not in the application.
We
Is
could
that-
we could easily add 8 pics. So we say a requirement is 8 pictures. So one is four cardinal directions from the house. So from the front door, looking in all 4 directions. So looking there, go over to the side, looking at all the neighbors, and then 4 pictures looking at the house from all the 4 from
Right.
each of the
We
directions.
could
So
just give them a little map, say, stand here, point this way.
no, but I mean,
Yeah,
having
a
8
nice-
pictures.
a simple diagram, yeah.
Honestly, they're taking it on their phone and they're going to email it to
Yeah,
Janine.
I mean,
So it's
that's
like
what
it's a
technology
Right,
no.
but you
It's
need
nothing for them.
you need the other part of it, clear directions to make sure we get useful pictures.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
That's right. Good
so
point,
just say that,
Derek.
and, if
But
they
that's
just wanna
something
walk
that
around the
everyone
house
was
with
like,
a
yes,
video.
we want that.
That's right, you can
So
walk
that-
around the house.
So let's
Brian,
put that in.
that leads me to something that came up, the submittals have been getting huge, and I wonder if we could start to change the means that they're being distributed within the town.
So Diab and I are also on that. We're talking with Matt.
Adrian's not here, unfortunately, but we used, when I was the chair, I would sometimes have to send 2 and 3 emails for each application.
Janine's doing that right now to you guys.
Well, she's already breaking them up, but a couple people only have like a 5 meg inbox, so I'm taking her three emails and breaking it into another 3.
That's
using a Dropbox.
Here's 1A, 1B, 1C. So what Adrian's been doing is he's loading him himself up on Google Drive.
Yeah.
But what if that was simply at the town level? The announcement comes out from Janine, hey,
here's the link.
Here's the link. Here's the link, and that's all you have.
And then you have a date in your email. It all has the date, and then it has the link, and then you can much easier organize.
So you guys are already thinking ahead on that too. That would be very helpful.
Yeah.
That's an IT question. Question's been asked. Okay. IT is answering.
You're not losing your paper copies.
I attended a meeting of the DRC a few months ago, and I remember the question came up about whether the Historical Commission had reviewed some of the projects, and so I think we've also had that question sometimes. So I don't know how we can do this, because I know that they're scrambling often to make their demolition delay bylaw hearings and scheduling, but I do think we're all looking to them and are at a disadvantage without the information that they're generating. So I don't know what to do with that.
It's a scheduling question, so we'd have to ensure that the Historical Commission gets their review before either of our boards.
Well, I don't know if sure, but it would be at least something to start working toward.
I don't know how.
How about this?
What are you talking about? Because they have been doing their meeting minutes. They've been sending out.
Oh, yeah.
Has the DRC being CC'd on their meeting minutes?
No, they are. No, that I don't. They have theirs. I see you.
Not
I
historical.
thought we were copying historical.
On CBD.
Were you getting their? No,
I know it's
we're
historical.
not getting theirs.
I'm sorry.
It's historical sending to you.
Their reviews of the petitions.
No.
No, sometimes the also is because they're behind you. They're coming in behind you.
And that's
before
by
you.
no. I mean, there's no way to. Based upon their meetings, like you think, oh well, can't we just coordinate all of our 3 boards? No, we
Well,
can't.
here's
We
one-
can't. No, I mean it's we
Well,
Jack
there
took the
you go.
timing because
Here's
the
another
timing
thought.
doesn't work.
They
We've
have to.
simply noted where we've had a concern. that
We're
this
the
is-
worst one. We just meet once a month.
We've just noted.
And we move it around.
Well, so does historical.
What?
Historical commission's once a month.
No.
Theirs is based on
Yes.
demo permits in terms of when they meet because they have to respond to a demo permit within a certain amount of time. So they get like activated when they get an application and they're like, okay, I guess we're going to meet.
We're going to have to change
Next
that
Monday,
meeting.
you know, so-
Okay.
It's a bear. One thought, though, is with these, because they do come in,
Sorry.
I need you. You're the most important person here. When the applications are filed, so we're talking about way back, they're down in the
Month in
building
advance,
department, they should be asked, they can flip actually, they can be responsible for this. I think they are, and there's something where they are. But anyway, either the applicant could be, we could ask them, or it could be, well, actually, they're asked for demolition delay bylaw, maybe. But anyway, or the Historical Commission could simply send the B forms when they exist, at least get those over to the Design Review Committee.
That's, I mean, yeah, I mean, before you review that, that's a help to
So
them for
they're-
sure.
You've got them ahead of the meeting.
That actually is a good point. They're not including their Form Bs with their reviews.
So we
If they exist.
that's a good
Yeah, we are running out of time.
Yeah, and we are going to
that's-
we are scheduling a joint meeting with the Historical Commission, and this will be one of our topics, is how we can integrate all
The
of our
review.
input. So, and so there was -5 minutes for your topics.
We're asking questions, so.
Yeah, I know, but
I think that was very succinct, very,
so if you have anything that you want to bring up.
As a team, I believe we came here to listen, but
Yeah.
in individual questions, we've been firing away.
We talk too much of our own, so we're ready to listen to.
Right.
we have a lot of to-dos actually out of this.
Oh, Brian has a lot.
Yeah, you have as much as we do, or more. You have more than we do.
Action.
Brian does.
Brian's our
They'll get
keeper.
redistributed.
I know.
Well, this has been incredibly useful. I hope you found that as well. And again, I apologize for the mess up with the agenda. We will make sure that it doesn't happen the next time. And we would like to continue having this meeting every
We were thinking three times a year, something,
times a
either
year?
seasonal or right around that time,
Yeah.
something like that.
That's a very
Yeah.
good idea.
At least, so the twice is guaranteed because after zoning changes, so it's always good. And then I think another just because 45 minutes is not really long enough to get into
Right.
the too deep. We also didn't even talk at all about how CBDRS, the review subcommittee, is going, which I think it's going well. But yeah, I think Julie,
gonna be seeing
Julie and
more
David, you
projects
two
in
are
the
on
CBD,
as well.
but-
We haven't met for a while on that.
Yeah, no, I don't know that
CBDRS, well, you met very recently for 14 Thompson Street.
not me.
Not you.
Maybe
It was two historic and or sorry, it was
Maybe
three
it was-
historic and
maybe it was-
two design.
Oh, wait a second.
Adrian
Yes,
and
I'm
Eileen,
sorry,
I
that
think,
was very
maybe.
short, yes, okay.
That's
Were you and Adrian?
Yeah, no,
Thursday night, it
they
was
had
last
work.
Thursday.
Yeah.
But this what we put in there was if there was the significant changes, then it would go to the planning board, and we've gotten two that luckily we've been on the same page about. So I think we're letting the projects go that need to be let go, and keeping the projects in that we need to keep in. So.
Oh, good.
And you are, I mean, we haven't, since Highland Avenue, we've not had much interaction because the 40B end of that development. But for any kind of subdivision where there's a road being built, you're in, and I didn't bring that document, but in the subdivision regs, you're invited to comment. And I know there have been questions, well, what's the design aspect? But of course, I always think, well, Frederick Law Olmsted or Fred Jr. designed the Myonia
Roadway
Road.
design,
That
there's
whole
the
development
whole
was
spec,
Fred
yes.
Jr. So it's certainly a design concept to build a road. And issues of what's the edging, what's the curve, how does it work with the topography, all of that would be for you to critique.
So would we get that as part of site plan review, or what would, how would we get a subdivision? So would we automatically be sent a subdivision?
From me.
Okay.
Because so subdivision, that's the only thing. Actually, not the only thing, but
no more.
at CBD as well.
Board.
But yeah, subdivision
Planning board.
control is completely zoning. Is zoning. Well, it's not technically zoning.
Okay, yep, okay. So you guys
It's
are
kinda
the
zoning.
permit
not zoning.
granting authority for that?
Yes.
Well, no, it's
It's just
Or whatever.
It's
Okay.
I mean, it's just
Subdivision,
the manager of the subdivision control law.
well, we sign off.
Okay.
It's not a
Okay,
permit.
so unfortunately, we have to bid you adieu.
Well, thank you. Unfortunately.
And you.
It's been lovely, yes.
Merci bien.
Great.
Okay,
So we can plow through these quickly?
Andiamo.
so we are technically 10 minutes behind schedule.
Oh, these we
Well,
should
so
go
I picked
through
these
fast.
three on purpose and our simply because our agenda was so packed that
You picked these because they're the easy ones.
I picked one. Well, these are all side and front additions that were not ridiculously large.
Do we have the Mylar for the A&R?
We do.
So
we're gonna
just
do
so
that
everyone
first.
knows, I asked Brian to make sure these are at our table every time we review, so and
Yes.
then we can return these back to him afterwards.
That's a
and
great
he'll bring them
idea.
every time.
Perfect.
Yeah,
So if you want to write your name on the top.
Oh, that's
here.
great.
Even better.
That's great.
So then, all the language, and we can actually refer to the numbers very quickly and move faster.
That's a very good idea.
Brilliant. As some of us remember, we were
All
in
right,
a meeting without.
So okay, we're gonna kind of go into a little.
Oh, I saw it.
Quicker.
It's a little teeny weeny piece of land.
This is this triangle.
Oh, yeah, I know
so this is
Yes, it's just that
237
little
square
piece.
feet.
Yep.
It's simply because they're going to put like some type of shed or
Shed or
a
play
swing set,
set or
and
something, yeah.
They want to be able to have the space.
Oh, good, this is not,
This is just.
I'm going to vote to recommend that we sign the A&R. It is an A&R?
It's an A&R.
Perfect.
So approval's not required.
let me call for the motion first, so can I have a motion?
I'm making a recommend. I'm
Do we
making a
have a
motion.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wonderful. Okay, we're gonna keep.
All right.
We're just gonna keep moving.
Yes.
Heather, when we sign these, we always use the top for
Yep.
the chair.
Just let me sign first and then we don't have to worry.
So I'm just gonna keep talking.
Yeah.
Well, first we're looking at petition 3857, which is 212 Forest Street. This is a second-story addition that's that is to an existing first floor, so there was nothing from engineering for this because there's no additional runoff. No setback encroachment is planned. The plot plan the only thing I found that was a little bit of a mistake, the plot plan shows this 30-foot building line, but that's not true. It's the standard 25-foot setback, so we're not sure where that 30-foot building line is required. We don't think it's there. I felt the beneficial impacts of the proposal outweighed any potential negative effects. It said about a third of the houses there on Forest Street are larger than the proposed total square footage here. So I said, based on the similarly scaled construction in the neighborhood and the fact that no setbacks are further encroached upon, I recommended favorable action with regards to this
I
petition.
thought it was fine.
Could
Yeah.
you,
So did I.
Yes.
And so I would like to go around the table for those who have comments. You can start with Heather Hammond.
Oh, I might have missed what you were saying. I thought that the whole back was an addition, the first floor and the second floor. Because it says line of existing first
I
floor
saw that
stops
too.
at the dining room.
So it's going above this and it's coming a little bit further out, but it's basically most of the addition is above this portion. So it's
The plan doesn't look like that. The plan it says line of existing and it stops and the whole house doubles in the back.
Yeah, the whole back is plumped
Right.
out.
Yeah, it's like twice the size of the existing
So I
house.
think the issue, there was some confusion in our office too. Part of this addition is being done by right, and part of it is being done.
So, yeah, if you-
permit.
here, let me
There's some confusion in terms of what they're applying for under the special permit, because it's
Here we
not
go.
the entire
Yeah.
project.
they should be doing the entire project as one, though.
Yeah, how can they do two separate?
But not all of it requires a special permit. And again, I wasn't totally involved because it was Brian who did the review, but I know that there was some
Not me, yeah,
confusion
yeah.
on his part,
From
and
engineering.
Al about it, that part of this project is a by right project, which is why it's not.
So the addition in the back, you mean? is by-
Yeah, I'm trying to find out where it says that it's like already. Not here. It says like already underway. So some of it's already been built.
I think that's 24 cap.
That's 24 Cabot?
Both these projects
Another
are
one.
the same, in the same boat, to be honest.
Well,
Isn't that,
Here we go.
yeah, I
that
don't-
is, that has to be not
I mean,
appropriate. I don't know how
I'm
else, what other
confused.
better
I
word to
was
use.
too, actually. Now that, I'm glad you actually got there, because
So this-
I did see the first page. and It says existing, yeah, I know.
Yeah, there's an
Huge.
existing non-compliance with the zoning because they don't have a large enough setback on Churchill.
Correct.
So they can't go forward with anything unless they get a special permit. So
Again, I wasn't super
No, I'm just-
involved in the
It's not-
review.
it's a
My
building
opinion from
commissioner.
talking to
Yeah.
Brian
this-
Kiernan.
I was not aware of that. I thought we were commenting on the whole thing, which is an enormous
It's
pushback
huge.
of the back of the house. I mean, essentially, there's not much left of the original house as far as I could tell. It kind of, because they're replacing all the windows. So,
This
I
is,
think the special permit is for
there's
to
nothing in here.
construct an addition that's located closer to the front property line.
On Churchill. Yeah.
but it's not one project going on at the same time. You can't pull two separate permits to get one portion.
But
Right.
the part of the project doesn't require a special permit.
The idea.
Part of it's being done, can be done by right.
Which part?
Yeah. Yeah.
This
But
lot
all I'm
is,
reading is the special, is the language from.
Because you're not making
It
the-
says it's
Where-
required for being closer, addition closer to the front property line.
Should
So-
we send this back to Brian, maybe, rather than spending
Which,
our time? Maybe it's
but-
not quite what it appeared to be.
where is the indication in this packet that this is only looking at one part of the project?
Here,
Can
there's a
someone
narrative.
point that out to me?
Those plans, front plans.
That's just my,
Here.
having talked to Brian Kerrigan, that's my understanding.
Because as far as my understanding is, if this lot is not in compliance, and it's not, there is no construction that can go forward without a special
That's
permit.
not the non-conformity.
Brian's note is about the setback on Churchill, which is the side, but it's listed as the front setback also.
Because it's a corner.
Corner,
That's because it's a corner
so
lot.
that's the number.
Setback on both.
But I mean,
Corner
that's
lot.
the number that is non-conforming.
Right. So they're
Churchill.
so yeah. So
Which is
they're
the addition.
they're allowed. So if they have the only thing that makes this property non-conforming is that front setback. So if they're not doing anything to that front setback, they are allowed to proceed if everything else, like if they have the necessary square footage and everything else is okay. If the only non-conformity is a front setback, and they're allowed to do something that doesn't touch that front setback. That's, I'm guessing, why the building inspector allowed that.
Allow them to pull two separate permits. That's pretty much what they're saying, is this is two separate permits, and that.
No, he's saying because
No.
the addition is 25 feet, so the addition is conforming for the setback. Is that what you mean?
Right. So
Yeah.
the one that's ongoing right now, that's being, or yeah, the one that's, sorry.
Where is the?
I mean,
I'm
I don't know
thinking
why it
Brian-
really wouldn't be.
I don't know if there's any work ongoing now. I know it's 24 cabinets.
Right, that's,
I don't
yeah.
know about this property, but I understand, what I understand from Brian Kerrigan is.
They need the special permit just for that
there's
portion.
only one portion of the project because there was some confusion about the drainage calculations being
Ah.
applied. So.
Well, to be
That's
honest,
different,
it's
yeah.
kind of raised my ears a little bit as well.
So why don't we ship it
I
back?
think we should. I
Hold
think,
it.
yeah, we should just
Yep,
and
sounds great.
maybe not have a vote.
Right. I
Right.
withdraw my.
That's, continue it.
Let's, yeah.
Can I make a motion?
When do they need to have this by?
These don't.
Oh, June the 18th?
Yeah, these don't meet to the 18th, so we have one more crack on the 12th. Remember, we have 3 more petitions then.
Yeah.
But I say,
That's okay.
I say
But if
maybe.
you figure it out.
I know. I think yeah.
Let's continue this until.
Someone. We need a motion.
I'd like to make a motion for petition number 3858 to be continued to.
7.
5-7.
212 Forest Street. Isn't that 57?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
That's the next one.
sorry.
Okay, keep going. Keep going.
3857, 212 Forest Street, Winchester, Mass, to be continued to our next meeting of the planning board.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's 5-0. Okay. Well, if we continue all of them, we'll get through here really quick.
Very bright. So this is so 24 Cabot. If you, so this is where
Yeah.
this is actually is there is ongoing work.
It's not 24
You
cabinets.
wanna do
that's
This is Ledyard. Sorry, I'm on Ledyard. 21 Ledyard. So this is a special permit under 355 for this small bump out measuring 30 square feet. Due to the limited size of this addition to the dining area and no unforeseen detrimental effects to the neighborhood, I recommend favorable action with regards to this petition.
Okay.
Okay.
Maureen, you want to start?
Yeah, because I actually catch the name there. They're a butter, somebody I happen to know. It seems fine. I can see why Brian recommended it. It's tiny, but it does create a whole different view out the window. So I would make a motion, and I won't do it till we go around, but I would move to recommend favorable action, subject to any acceptance of it by the abutter, or I don't know if it's acceptance, subject unless there are objections by the abutter, because I do have some concern. As I said, I've been running into people even over the past weekend who are talking about hearing. Not here, not at these meetings, and saying, well, it's now, and it is 11 feet, what? It goes down to 11 feet 6 inches
Yeah.
from the property line.
Can you pull up the Google Street View of this one?
Yeah.
So that
They also,
is a
I think-
pretty big. I mean, it might be totally fine, but I.
Well, it's interesting when you look at the building. See, here's the
Pretty.
view they have
Okay.
now.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's the existing.
I will wait for I'll give my comment when I get around to myself. So, Maureen, were you finished?
I'm done.
Okay, Betsy, you want to say something?
No, I didn't have too much trouble with this actually, but but it's helpful to be able to see it in place.
I mean, you want to go to Street View? What are you saying?
No,
Well,
we're
just
fine.
No, it's helpful just being able to see the street view, just to get a feel for.
Well, I mean,
And
this
that's
is.
But
11
that's-
feet
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the neighbor.
Right.
That's all. Maybe it's fine. I don't
So
know.
you
To the lot line, yeah.
You said favorable action unless neighbor objects, essentially?
Yeah, I would say that.
Okay, sorry.
I'm just waiting for Betsy's comments.
Yeah. No, I would go along with that, I would agree.
I'm gonna
Because
say-
if something is way too close, that can be problematic.
To be honest, my initial reaction when I looked at this was, it's gonna bring it out of more
Increase the nonconformity?
Nonconformity, thank you.
It does.
And I was very concerned about that, and then I looked at the fact that they're not including those stairs in the setback.
Correct.
And I found that interesting, because if they had put a roof over it, then we would consider it.
Correct.
But it's still part of the building, the permanent building, I would say, so
not gonna be
introducing
that
this
much
new
closer,
structure actually looks like it pulls it back some. So, I figured, well, it's better than what they have, even though if that stairwell weren't there, I would have voted against it, just because of the increase in the nonconformity. Okay. Heather, Mary.
On the side of the house, is that lattice, or that staircase?
This is lattice, yeah.
That's lattice too, so it's already existing?
Yeah, looks like lattice.
Yeah, it's probably like vinyl, or it could be wood.
It's wood, it's
Yeah,
rotting.
yeah.
It's wood,
Because it's
yeah.
not pressure treated or composite on contact
Excuse
with
me.
grade, which is against code. So, I don't like the lattice, but it doesn't actually really impact already existing on this house, so. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
I don't think it hurts the neighborhood in any way.
I think it's fine, but they're acquaintances of mine, so I'm not going to vote.
Okay. Is there a motion on the floor?
I don't know how you feel since, I don't know how you feel, but I would just like to know that the neighbors don't have an objection if I were recommending it. So my motion would be to recommend favorable action.
Subject.
You mean because of all the new windows?
Yeah, it's a lot of different, it's a whole different relationship that the neighbor will have, 11 feet, 11 and a half feet from that.
Maybe we should look at
Oh,
street
they've
view
got
to
another
see how
15.
close that house is, or what is, if there's trees in between their houses. I don't know.
Right.
No, the trees come and go.
And we don't know that, but then, of course, there's setback on the other side, too, from the neighbor as well.
Assessor's map, that always tell us how close the house is.
Can we discuss her motion?
Yes.
Is there a
yes.
second?
There wasn't.
It
Second.
wasn't the second.
Second.
Okay, second, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to discuss it real quick. Maureen, with that motion, I would actually like to say that we did not take into account the abutters. Like, we recommend this, but we did not take into account because we did not have their perspective present
Okay.
and recommend favorable action.
So it's, even though it, maybe this is the best view if we go about here and then look back. So this is the house in question.
Oh, okay, thank you, that's helpful.
There's a reasonable distance between
It's
the
kind of
houses.
it's kind of far away. Not that Maureen's incorrect in the fact that it will change from a, one or two windows to
It's a one window.
Yeah, to like a whole bunch of essentially a big bay window. But they are,
But
well,
it-
whatever. The motion on the floor is to favorable action unless the neighbor objects. That's what the motion is on the floor. Okay, let's see if we can get it from the other. So if we go from here and then look back,
It doesn't look bad.
it
but-
does not. I
It's
mean,
a
that's
long
pretty
way.
far actually,
Yeah.
even though it's only
I will say,
11.6
point
to the
out-
line.
Well, yeah, but there's
When
a
that-
little bit of elevation difference.
When they
differential.
move, one neighbor moves over toward the lot line, then the other neighbor, they may want to be putting some addition on to it.
But the cars aren't moving. I mean, the nothing's happening to that, right? I mean, the cars are still there. I mean, they're not moving over that curb cut. They're not moving over they're not doing more paving. It
Maybe
doesn't
it's
look
fine.
like.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
So-
same
So
thing.
is
Well,
what
I think it's
recommend
okay
with you?
myself.
So do we have an amendment?
I would like to make an amendment to the motion to vote for favorable action with regards to the petition for 21 Ledyard Road, petition number 3858. And I would like also to note to the ZBA that we did not have any input from the abutters. I would like them to take that into consideration in their
Any response, sure.
response.
Okay.
Second.
Second. All in favor of the amendment?
I
Aye.
Moving to the main motion.
Oh, by the way, that would be, I would withdraw my motion, and then Heather would be introducing
Right,
the motion.
so
That's
this
more
is-
how it
Sorry,
should
I
run.
didn't formally. Would you?
Yeah.
No, well, that's the way it works.
So
Okay.
HVN says, motion for favorable
That's fine.
action, note to ZBA that no feedback was received by the planning board from
The
abutters.
neighbors, yeah, from the abutters.
Okay, so,
Does that mean that they requested?
No,
It's just they need to take it
It's just
into
But no,
account.
they
so
would have been
nobody showed
notified.
up and told us.
received by
what
the
it
planning
was.
board, and then what do you say, and should be taken into account? I mean, that's.
That's what that pretty much means.
And well, I would put it, and,
Okay, so.
However you
um,
want to phrase it.
Do we need to re-vote on this, or are we?
no, well, there's been no vote.
Okay, so that's the motion on the floor. Heather's motion is on the floor. Do I have
Moved
a
and
second?
seconded.
There was one.
Well, there was a second for an amendment, but yeah, okay, so Betsy seconds, all in
Yeah.
favor?
Aye.
This is confusing. So that's 4-0 with Heather Hannon abstaining.
Okay.
And hopefully you and Brian can get together and figure out what we're voting on.
Yeah, no, I got it. All right,
Yeah, but Liz
386.
needs to get it too.
Yep, we will. 3860. So this is 24 Cabot. So this is the one where, wait, let me get it in. How about that?
Yes, please. I always find that highly
This is the one where
helpful.
portions have already been approved and are being worked on at the moment. So this is a lot that's a little small, but it's by 200 square feet, so it's a 9,800 square foot lot. The only thing that's being altered in terms of the zoning here is the 0.9% down of green space due to an enlargement of an existing porch to extend along most of the facade. It actually looks like quite a nice porch. The site plan could be misleading, but the side porch and westerly addition has already been approved and is not under review at this time. The front porch along Cabot is the area of concern. I see no potential negative effects of the proposed work and recommend favorable action.
So do we have any discussion? Let's start with that.
Oh, well, I've been watching them put up the addition, and I think that a porch on that house would look really good and fit into the neighborhood, because a lot of the other houses have large front
That's true.
porches, if not, whole wraparound porches. So I think that it fits in the character and would look nice.
Okay. So,
From a planning perspective, I am okay with it. We always tend to support the front porches. However, I would like to make a note, if we do a motion, that Historical Commission's perspective is brought into heavy weight on this one, is given substantial weight, and we defer the historical components to them.
In terms of the design.
In terms of the recommendation.
Well, in terms of any
Because we're
impact on
altering?
historic
Yeah,
resources.
yes, that,
Because altering it from just
Yeah.
the overhang?
yeah, because what they're going to do is they're going to fully vet the house and the history of the house and what's important on the house, and then define if that porch is going to hinder.
right, help.
And design-wise, it's fine, but from a historical perspective, I would like that.
Like to
I
have
don't
their
feel
opinion on
comfortable
there.
at this point without the information from the Historical Commission to recommend favorable action without that information.
How old is this house?
Oh, it's
It's
inaccurately
been there for a
dated here.
long, long
It's
time.
probably 1880s.
Yeah.
I want to speak, but I'm waiting because I'm last, so.
Okay.
Yep.
Usually it should
I,
stay here.
I have no problems with this porch. I love porches. The small decrease in the open area or the green space is pretty small, so it doesn't concern me. So I am in favor of this. Betsy,
Okay.
you wanna?
Well, that was pretty much how I felt about it. I do appreciate, Heather's remarks with respect to the historical aspects of the building, however, so.
You're saying early 1900s, but it's
It's
clearly,
wrong.
it's
It's
clearly
wrong.
a guess.
Yeah.
so.
So, can you, Brian, go to A2? There we are. So this is existing front elevation. Look at the eyebrow window, and in fact, it's great. We have an original drawing. This is actually a historic
Yeah.
drawing of our town hall.
That is nice.
It's the same as the one, well, it's a little, it has a little more height, a different curve to it, but it's called an eyebrow monitor.
Yeah, very
and
nice.
this is in the tower that's on the left side. It's just amazing. This probably was designed by George Rand, the architect of the town hall, and it's one of the earliest houses in the neighborhood. The porch, I think it could be extended, and it could be comfortable for me to see it extended, but what really bothers me, and I realize it's the porch that's bringing us into review, but we can comment on anything, is that front door. I just find this totally bizarre, but I've been watching this because I know one of the neighbors, and I see one of the neighbors pretty often. So you go from that front door, which is totally 1880s, maybe 1890s, that's the outside, it's really early for the neighborhood. And then, Brian, if you could just flip over to A3.
I didn't even notice that.
It's like it's a mission-style door. It's a craftsman door. Thank you. Somebody else who knows architectural
No,
history.
it's not the right door.
And the
No,
side
that's a
lights
good
and the
point.
side panels and then short windows. It's just a totally, it's like a 1910, it's wrong. So it's really upsetting to me to see this in beautifully intact house get picked apart in a way that's not necessary. So I don't know
That's
that,
a good point.
you know, again, subject to the permit, who knows, but he's got to get the permit, and at the very least, he can be told he's pulling something apart that takes away from the integrity of the historic resource.
That's one of the criteria.
Okay.
Can I add something to that, Deanne?
Well, we don't
That's a
actually
good
have a
point.
motion on the floor, but yeah.
No,
we-
add comment to the
add comment,
discussion.
Yeah, sure.
The other thing is, they
Floor's
don't
open.
state it, but they're using the right materials and the handrails, because when I looked at it earlier, that's what I was looking at, is the materials. But they do not state that the columns will be in like in kind of existing.
Good point. If
Well,
they
that's a good
have
point.
new ones go in, good.
Are
Good
That we don't
catch.
get.
Are those balusters appropriate for the period as
Well,
well?
they're probably just, no, probably not, but we don't have enough information.
Back then, they wouldn't have had them, but code required them.
Well, our house has
Ours-
balusters.
Is it the column material
you got
should
John here,
match,
isn't
should
it?
match
The
existing
columns should be in like in kind to the existing.
Yeah.
I
materials?
guess railing, I should say railing rather than balusters,
Well,
because
balusters are part
I
of
have
it.
I have a railing which doesn't have balusters, it has these bizarre
So, col-
zigzaggy things.
Those are considered
Column,
balusters.
just,
They are?
The
Okay.
columns are pilasters. I can't even tell because
Yeah.
right, well, we
I
can
can
say
look at
columns
column.
slash rail, and railings, the materials should be in like and kind, that's,
they are not going to be in like in kind because right now they just have the handrail. They're changing that also. That's why
The
I really
materials,
like.
Yeah,
Like
this whole
planning
thing
board, being
needs
that historical
measured.
They have those.
They have pilasters, which I'm looking at, trying to see the plan if they're square or circular, which defines whether they're a pilaster or a column. But the handrail is changing from what is existing to what it's going to, and they're having a true traditional. You see the change? They had a handrail, and now it's with all the.
This is
And
all
we'll
kind of
post
cooked
and-
up too. There are those little urns. Could we please get those urns out of there? Oh my goodness. It's like,
It was inside my house and then someone walked it off.
you're talking about the things at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, the urns,
Oh my God.
little post ornaments.
They do fit on certain types of houses, but not this one.
Well, so.
They're calling them
Still hearing
columns.
lots of language floating around.
Yeah, I'm not
Oh,
So-
writing anything quite
Well, we're
yet.
discussing that.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah, I
John
just-
might have some thoughts too. 'Cause he's-
I do, if
Oh,
anyone
oh,
else-
hello.
Can we invite the member from the historic commission?
Yeah, I believe we're gonna look at these.
John, could you come to the table and identify yourself, please?
John Clemson, Winchester Historical Commission.
Yeah, just, this is for TV land out there, so.
Yes, I forget we're on.
How do you
If
know?
you could bring the mic.
Oh, yes.
You have a booming voice, but.
Yes.
So just to be clear, the Historical Commission has not met on this, but you do have knowledge on the architecture and stuff.
Yes, I'm familiar with the building. I've looked at the plans. The Historical Commission has not met on this. I think we're scheduled to look at these proposals on June 4th, and I don't know how that fits into your schedule.
No, that's good, but it'll be before the 12th if we want to revisit.
Okay, good. I think this profoundly changes character-defining features of this house. It's in a National Register district on Everett Avenue, and it's,
No. Well, it's Cabot.
Right?
Yeah.
It's around the corner.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
Right,
around the
Cabot,
corner.
across from
But
it.
yes.
oh, Cabot, okay. Forgive me. I'm thinking of a different proposal.
This one is brown.
Yeah. It's still altering the house profoundly in terms of its character-defining features. So let me, I thought we were on Everett Ave, I'm sorry.
It's
Yeah,
just the
this is a
door.
different
We don't
house.
know what's going on with the columns. We don't know what's the baluster.
Yeah, they're changing the entire facade, so it's a
Yeah.
problem.
It's gonna put it up right now.
It's right at the corner. When you come down Warren, you see it. It's so pretty, and you know they did put a what should I say, a well-mannered addition on the back, so it's not. It has. And why is he picking it apart now?
But I don't think it's the owner. I think it might be the architect.
Yeah. Well, it's the owner's the builder.
Cabot.
It's a builder-
Oh, yeah.
it's a builder project.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Oh, I didn't. That was.
Yeah,
There we go.
There it is.
Yeah, I mean, the main entrance and the porch are going to be
Can you zoom in on that?
character-defining features.
See, there's a metal handrail,
Yeah, you're right.
and they're now going to wooden.
Which is nice. They're probably hopefully going to get rid of this brick.
The metal handrail is probably
I think it's
a
They
more
are
part of the
recent,
brick.
relatively recent alterations, as well as those the columns, maybe.
See, it didn't have a railing.
Yeah.
See how there's no railing?
Right, right. No,
So
you're
that's
right.
now a new requirement from code. That's not how
Yeah,
they're
so-
originally designed.
All of that's fine. It's just what's going on with those.
Oh,
If
it's
they're
only a
just
couple
little
feet out.
pieces of what square in section wood for the balusters, I mean, what are they? We don't know. But you can find houses. Typically, they're not on this street because this street, as I say, most of them are a little bit later. This is the early,
an earlier one.
relatively early. But certainly you can find them around town. Figure out what
It's not like across the
would
street.
go in there.
Can we continue it? And Brian, can we get it on the agenda after the historical commission meets on it? And
Then we have.
Yeah,
five
I'm just worried about the
years.
12th, but we can try.
well, we kind of have reviewed it. The historical commission's feedback will make it, I
Yeah.
think, a very quick review. We
Okay.
just need that information from historical and where they stand.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing a pretty bad job tonight about time management.
We're doing a horrible
We got to do
job.
better next time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
But let me throw out, just for the time management concept, when we get something like this, and I hear the comments, Heather Hannon got it right away, Heather Von Meering got it right away, Dia did not, sorry, and Betsy not so much, so
Well,
some of
that's-
us, it's not,
to differ.
no, but the point
I
is
have
that,
different concerns than you, so
But-
getting it or not
okay,
getting it,
get
I
what
think
I-
is
Yeah.
incorrect.
what I'm talking about is understanding how to read the building, and that's just certain education and experience.
Well,
I'm
yeah.
going to beg to differ because I still feel that a porch on that building works. So we're going to have to say each of us has different.
Well, seeing that the door changed, nobody mentioned it till it got to me, and the
Oh,
sidelights.
I'm not saying there were things
No,
that we didn't pick,
no.
but I think the language that's used here in terms of who has a better view of what, I think is difficult to deal with.
So let me say, different people here bring different experience, and some of us have relevant experience, and more relevant because of what we're looking at. So when we're getting these projects, it would be helpful if we could somehow get more information to the whole board so that everyone has some understanding, so that we're not just going around in a circle waiting for some people who see the issues better than others. So.
Brian, can you go back to the front facade? I'm gonna.
We're going to have to make a motion. soon
If we're
whether
continuing.
gonna-
If
Can
we're
you turn
continuing
it real
it.
quick? I'm going
Hold
to.
on.
I wanted to see the side of that porch that's
Oh, there we go.
existing.
Oh, you want it?
Other side, farther to the right. The front porch. I just want to see right there on the side, what's on the side of it again. So, I would like to make a motion to continue petition number 3860, 24 Cabot Street, to a meeting
12th, on the 12th.
of June 12th. And John, I would like to ask the Historical Commission to review the details. Because not only, I'm trying to see the side of it, they also have the painted lattice work, the handrails, the decorative ornaments, the front door, and the cornice.
Yeah, we can do some research and
see
look
what
at
would be
Sanborn
appropriate.
maps and figure out what's happened to this
Also,
building a
just
little
what,
bit.
what a
Yes.
typical 1880s
Yeah.
house looks
Right.
like.
Well, I think that would help.
There may be an image of it in the
So,
archive.
Heather, just to reiterate here, to continue to the June 12th and ask the WHC to look at all details, including trim, door, cornice,
Lattice,
and lattice.
columns,
Okay. Second.
handrails.
The columns and rails.
Cornice, rails, columns, got it all.
And also, can you please give us the Form B? on this.
Yes.
When you submit your recommendation.
Yeah, there may be an earlier.
We may have time to expand it a little bit.
Okay, I got that whole motion
Do we
down.
have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So that sounds over the 5 million. Okay. Thank you, John. So, we're now going to move to the next item on the agenda.
Which is mine, which I can go through really quick.
What, Town Common Committee?
Yeah.
You've accepted that position?
No, that's me asking for a town common committee.
No. This is in particular in regards to
Oh,
a
this is
request by
different.
the Assistant Town Manager. Is this different?
This is
what I-
different from what Heather's talking about. Heather has a good idea, but not what we're talking about.
I know what we're talking
Okay.
about. Okay, so.
Well, it does impact though, that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, no,
let
it's
me,
a-
the background, which I sent out a query to the planning board last week or so, the assistant town manager requested that someone from the planning board be on a committee to work on a named place. There's a Whipsalt Marsh town meeting
Was
honored
honored.
him with a naming of something on the town common. They are now creating a committee to do something about that. The word is that
Called
there's
plaza.
a plaza, but the problem is no one.
Well, no one knows what it means,
No one knows-
so don't
go.
get, yeah.
We have no idea what that means. It was just a
I was
word
a-
that was thrown out.
Like, isn't there a plaza already
Yeah,
there?
I was
Well, the
Like-
point is that the assistant town manager would like to have someone from the planning board on this committee. And so this is now a request of the committee.
It's a shame it can't be a floating member, because I would imagine, maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, that everyone would want to be involved in that. Town common is extremely important.
Exactly.
This is a committee that's created by the assistant town manager, is not being created by the select board at this time. I think the bigger question, which leads to what I actually brought to Brian, and why I thought
It's
this was
related,
my
it's
item,
related, you can,
is there is no town common committee, or like a Friends of the Common that is government run. When a tree dies, I don't even know if it
Well, but then, that goes to street tree.
It goes to Street
Design
Creek, and the
Right.
money to replace it.
I mean, I can point to trees
DPW.
there that.
Yeah, there are.
There's no
overarching-
long-term.
There's no overarching plan for town common.
Design
You know, when the
review used to
sidewalks
do
start
that.
to deteriorate, who defines how it's going to replace? What's the long-term goals and planning of it?
Yeah, it's a good point.
We went through the
Good point.
train master plan, the train station overall master plan in very early stages of the design. People were throwing out all sorts of stuff with the common, that there really should be a town common committee, like we have the cemetery committee.
Yeah.
And this would be an excellent, whatever is laid out, to fit. You can't go and do a thing without knowing where the appropriate places would be to
Yeah,
do it.
good
So
point, good point.
I'd like to go to the select board, and that's
Well,
my
it's possible that this committee that's being created maybe could be expanded and extended beyond this project.
Possible.
Like
It
for
was-
everyone who's
Well,
interested.
let me try to get procedural things done. I mean, I think
Yeah,
this
let's
is
get somebody
something to
on the
expand
committee.
on.
Yeah.
So this is something that perhaps has to go to town meeting and create a committee. I don't know.
No.
No,
I don't know was my next phrase. I don't know.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
We're telling you.
But if we can deal with a representative from this body on this particular committee that is going to be looking at this memorial site.
At the
Not
mo-
memorial,
I
isn't it?
personally cannot do it without understanding the full
I agree.
impact on the entire common. That's
It's
my
ex-
problem with participating in it. But
I agree.
I want to make it very clear, Whipsalt Marsh has done a lot to contribute to this town, so I don't want to negate that, but I want to look at it and how it fits in the whole common.
By the way, just for background, there was a whole scheme presented once when I was
Right.
on the board. You were here, I guess we were the only two, but, and the design review committee saw it. I don't know if historical commission weighed in at that point, but it was something where a lot of people were very unhappy with what was being proposed and felt it also worked against some of the main uses because basically it just
What was
created-
it?
It was a built structure that
In
just,
place
it
of
was
the
paved in
circle.
seating. Yeah, it was a circle.
Wouldn't
The
it
main
be
circle.
appropriate for those who feel very strongly about this to be on this committee?
But one person
you should be
is
on it.
not
Well,
going to be able
Yeah.
to.
I'm just going to interject for a second. If we say that we don't know, let's take a step back, then they're just going to be like, okay, well, we'll just take a step forward, right? And just because we want to get this done.
do it.
The committee wants to get it done,
Well,
I would
think we have to
imagine.
do both.
But it has to go through the select board. And that's why I think we should just contact the select board and
I do
say, we
too.
really think at
I
this
do
point,
too.
we need a town common committee.
Yeah.
And
Can we?
This can be
Can we
included
do
as part of
both? Meaning have someone get on that committee and also say, here's a great opportunity to create, or maybe the committee will come out of it.
Right.
I have a question.
It's a real concern.
How can someone go ahead and say there's going to be something built to commemorate someone without getting approval
Town
by?
meeting voted on it.
No, that's just the naming. No,
No, no.
They voted the name.
That's
yes.
all.
The next step is sort of.
Public process of some kind.
Yeah,
That's what we're in.
I don't know what this is, I don't know anything about the procedure for this.
Okay.
I'm
Neither
just
do I.
relating, this is, all I know is what I was,
They're forming the committee.
they're forming a committee. It's
that's
Jay
concerning.
Gill from
That's what's-
DPW is on
That's-
it.
Okay.
Mark Toogood, and other people, and they
even know if
wanted,
I'm
are reaching out to find people to fill the committee.
I'm not even sure if I'm involved, to be honest. I think I am,
Well,
but I don't know.
Well, it's
I-
I think that's an action item.
That's why I think the action
Figure
item
out
is to
is-
ask the select board what is going on at the town common and
Exactly.
where does this fit in with the master plan of the town common?
Exactly, through the
Or
chair.
is, or,
But-
or is there specifically a master plan? And I don't know that there is.
And again, years ago.
I don't know
on
that there is. I don't
Design
think there
Review
is.
Committee, that was when that 350th planter was
I
made.
remember
Can we
that,
just get
yeah.
more information before we appoint someone? Because the other question is,
Yeah.
it came from the assistant town manager.
yeah.
It didn't come from Richard. It didn't come from the select board to
Right.
us. So I would like to get more information about, and there's,
Meaning, is this a select board initiative?
yeah, who's initiating it?
That's what I mean. Like, who's saying you're allowed to even put something there?
Who's taking the
In the
initiative? Can you
end-
get more information?
I
mean,
can-
In the end,
I can
the
get more
selectmen-
information.
I
So-
believe the Board of Selectmen would have oversight of town property.
Definitely.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
definitely the
So that's
board
your
of
answer.
Board of
selectmen.
Selectmen.
So
yeah.
who on the select board sitting on, I just like more information.
I agree.
I will get the skinny or the fat or whatever.
Get the skinny and we'll take,
Yeah.
we'll
And
take it
while
up at
we're
our next
at it,
meeting. How's that?
Also, while you're doing questions, could you please ask if Design Review and Historical Commission have been included?
I'm just going to ask who's on the committee.
Okay,
Fine.
well, but I guess,
Who created the
And-
committee?
Well, I think it was a co-creation of somebody, this has been sitting around for several years. And I think somebody said, let's do something.
Now is the
And
time.
The names that I recall were
Yeah, Jay.
Jay and Mark Toogood. And so we'll just get more information. And then
More
we can
information.
move on, and then we can figure out what we do about the town common committee.
I know.
And
Well, the
Better
good, well, the,
next
well, the,
meeting.
well, the, well, the
Discussion.
good news is here is that if we're talking about Jay, he actually is the town's tree warden, by the way.
No, I just like
That's-
long-term
it's not-
planning.
Right, so gigging on
But yes.
schedule, which we're not, why don't we talk, so if we want to talk about a town common committee, I think that requires more time than we have tonight. So this is Heather's town common committee. So we'll put that on an agenda for our next, we'll put it on our list of things to put on agendas.
I think the
Okay.
Salt Marsh Memorial is what you're referring
That's
But that would be, but, because if you're going to be
We
talking
have
about. the-
just, what we've asked Brian to do is find out more about the Salt Marsh Memorial.
Plaza.
I'm sorry, is Mr.
Ugh.
Saltmarsh still with us?
Yes, he is.
Then it's not a memorial.
But it's actually as a memorial. That's
I
it.
thought
I was
it memorial-
It's not a memorial until somebody dies, I'm
That's what I'm
sorry.
thinking.
you know.
It's a
Commemorate?
commemorative place. Anyway, so
Exactly.
that's what Brian
Just
is going to
saying.
be looking into. He's going to be looking into the Whipsall March commemorative
And then
thing.
for an agenda item, we're talking about a potential, I don't know what's it called, a Friends of the Town Common or a Town
It's-
Common
I think
Master
it's
Plan.
something to
Like, Town
ask-
Common Master Plan is really what you're.
Yeah,
Actually,
town
bring it on
common
the
plan,
agenda.
over,
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah, so a master plan, which involves a committee.
Right.
It's actually just an agenda item to put on the agenda with the select board.
I
We
got
don't
it.
have to discuss it further. I don't
more
think.
reason why, let's get a
Unless you
meeting
want to do
set up.
some research beforehand. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Okay.
great. So we're done with that. Excellent.
Okay.
You're of course welcome to sit at the board and listen to this. Well,
You're the only guest, you might as well stay.
Beth
Thanks,
not a
Beth.
guest, she's a member.
She's
Bye, Beth.
She retreats
Who wants to
quickly.
go home now?
I know.
Okay,
Can't
so,
say as I voted.
It is now 9:05, and we're talking about the Triangle Master Plan.
No,
No, it's not.
9:35.
So, Triangle Master
That's right.
Plan. Okay, I have been,
I'll go sit.
I've been trying my best when I have spare minutes to revisit the Triangle Master Plan, the one that was written in 1997, and really
Yep.
go through it. And so I have two things to say. One is that there's a lot of really great stuff in there that simply didn't get implemented. Number one.
Yeah.
Some stuff did, but we could almost take the plan right now and start implementing other things just right now without doing anything. That's number one. Number two, I talked with Meg White about the best possible way to go forward with an RFP for this. If it's under $50,000, we can actually just get 3 quotes for something. So rather than actually go out to bid.
Oh, I see.
So it's a totally different process, bless you. It's quicker, and we can design this bidding process any way we want in terms of, I mean, we're essentially asking for their experience and qualifications, and,
Right.
and we can actually do this much quicker. So essentially, we're
More
throwing the idea of an
efficiently,
RFP out. However, I still want to keep looking at this for a little long, not a long time, like another couple of days or like a week.
Sure.
Because, like I said, I think there's a lot of juicy nuggets in there that we can just act on. I mean, not that it's easy to act on, but there is a plan. You know, there is the idea of, one idea, for instance, that we haven't really talked about that's in there and peppered throughout there is the idea of shaping the light industrial to be more technology focused. So get away from light industrial uses and try to bring in more research and lab space, technology space, robotics, AI, these types of companies to come into these uses rather than having the traditional light industrial uses like masonry and that type of thing.
They were talking AI back then.
They were. So,
Wow, they were
not that
advanced.
that's the exact way. This
Amazingly
is
enough,
easy,
there
we
were
just go do
actually
it.
tech people
The
that
point-
were on town meeting.
The point I'm
Just
trying to
saying.
make is that yes, it needs to be updated. It's from '97. A ton has changed from '97.
Well, of course.
However, there's a lot that can be done, and I think what I need to do is come up with a memo saying that these are things that were implemented and worked. These are things that implemented but didn't necessarily work. And then here are things that never got implemented that should have gotten implemented.
Okay,
And there are also some things that are no longer possible.
Yeah.
right.
Some of the green space stuff is.
Yeah, there was a
no
lot
longer-
about the green space, and it's just like,
Amazing
well,
vision.
yeah, well, there was a ton about bike infrastructure
Yeah.
that, you know, we're having some of that obviously through the Tri-Community Bikeway, but the level of open space preservation that was
Anticipated.
yeah, is not there. But I think that another week or two of me kind of coming up with a tight document that you guys can review might be really useful, rather than just saying, let's just get something out and let's hire somebody.
Well, it will save money and time for a future consultant if we go
Yeah,
that route
and-
anyway.
Yeah, if there's, yeah,
So I'm essentially asking for a little more time,
Yeah.
fine, done.
Next item.
and potentially not even going for an RFP at all. Maybe just doing a bid, and we can hire someone through that.
So in your
Process.
analysis, then you need to look at North Main Street, like the actual Main Street corridor.
No, that's one. Yeah, one of the
and
sections
analyze
is
it from that perspective.
Yeah, that's one of the
Great
sections.
so
detail
it's
for
like
me
it's,
to-
one of the
basi-
sections.
it's basically split up between the light industrial zone,
Yeah.
North Main Street, and then. No, I mean that's the major.
I have a
two
feeling
areas.
affordable housing is not embedded in that either, though.
Yeah, it
In
is.
97.
It is.
It is
Yeah,
actually.
well, not it's not it's not to the forefront as much as open space is
Right.
with the plan. The plan was definitely more open space, but I think it's most of the people that were on that the planning board at the time. There were a decent amount of people on the north side that, and I probably why the Triangle Master Plan started. Totally a great idea, and it totally made sense. And it basically got halfway there.
One thing I think, though, it doesn't have the degree of procedure for review of projects, because I came on the planning board just after that, it was 2000,
Right.
and it was brand new. Or the triangle, I know, the actual GBD was voted that spring of 2000.
So that was the biggest thing. That and the village center overlay.
But then when the projects got built, we didn't have anything like this, and that's where we need regs that can dovetail with the, what, I want to change the boundary, as you said, and I objected to that at the time, but it was too late. The train
you're
had
right.
left the
The
barn.
rules and regs is
Train
what's
had left the
missing.
station.
Yeah.
Well,
And weren't there a lot of graphics missing? I felt like it was
I
very
can't. So
narrative.
yeah. So I
get it.
can't find
No
electronic
pictures.
versions of the. There's like 6 or 7
Yeah.
maps that are not. And I've even looked at the previous planners. I will look through all her files as well, and none of them have the attachments at the
Yeah.
end. So I'm also trying to find that because I can't really do this analysis
Well,
without.
Right, I
those.
thought
Yeah,
it was weird.
exactly.
I was
It's right.
reading and reading. I'm like, I need to
Where's
see a
map
map.
2?
Exactly. Part of the problem you're going to run
Have a
into.
paper copy?
I have a paper copy.
So
With
I have a-
maps?
I
So
don't
I have a
know.
paper
I hadn't
copy
thought about
without
it.
maps.
Do you have a paper copy with maps?
Can we? Can,
Oh, look, when I go home, I know
I
it.
have a paper copy too, but I don't think I have the maps.
no. I'm sure everyone has a copy from me that doesn't have the maps.
No, mine predates.
No, you're the only one that might
I
have
have a
it.
copy of
I don't-
Maureen's
That's
though,
right.
from back when I was on the historical commission. She made a
Well,
copy for me.
Okay.
Can you?
I'll have to go look
Well,
at
I'll
it.
have to look and see.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
let me know
No,
because
no
I
problem.
can't finish this without it.
Right.
Okay, so action items for Maureen or Heather.
Not for the Triangle Master Plan,
Send
hard copy.
all
That's a
maps.
controversial-
Well, I'm not sure, I have. And they definitely aren't electronic.
Right.
That's fine. I can make them electronic in a second. So
Yeah,
that's
I know
okay.
what I
It's a
said.
treasure
Yeah.
map.
It's just
in the
deep in my
triangle.
files. I know it's deep, and that's why I keep asking for a
It's like
digital
in the
copy.
Barracuda, not the Barracuda, the Bermuda Triangle.
Barracuda triangle.
All right.
Okay, so that's a H, V, M, and M. Okay,
Okay,
what's
excellent.
next?
So we're gonna put it off. You think you can get to us by our next meeting?
The 12th?
Because that meeting's going until midnight. I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
So we should have time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
Please,
see,
God,
I don't see
no.
us talking about that on the 12th. I see me delivering you a memo by the 12th.
Oh,
Let's go.
excellent.
Okay.
Okay.
We need to on the 12th. We can start earlier.
Schedule meetings with other boards.
I don't know if I can. Okay, so sorry again about this June 25th, June 26th deal. So June 25th, we are now meeting. It's a Monday, planning board. June 26th, the Tuesday, is the Housing Production Plan Forum. I'm sure DM
Right.
you will be there, and anyone else.
Yeah,
we were going to
yeah,
meet with
I got the notification.
we were going to
as well.
meet with Concom in June on that June 26th meeting. That's been canceled, so now we're moving to July. As of right now, I'm not going to talk about any other boards and committees, but we would like to get the Select Board and Concom in July. That's all I have for that
Okay.
portion. I'm working on it. Period. Okay.
Okay.
Historical commission is being bumped up.
So I'm going to the June 4th Historical Commission meeting. I don't have. I mean, I guess it's August.
So we don't have any time.
I mean,
Well, because we wanted them to come in and look at the rules and regs, 7.3 demolition, 511 section. We wanted
Well-
to talk about the CBD district. So we just need to make sure that we get them in early enough that if we are going to go for
it's tight.
a town meeting,
It'd be like
we
first.
have to
It would
get
be the
them in.
first meeting in July that we would have to do that because we did some backtracking. It looks like it's going to be around August 15th, and that's giving us a cushion. August 15th, we want to be done with our articles, signed, sealed, art approved, everything.
Right.
August 15th.
Landmark.
Right.
Everything,
Right.
everything done that we don't have these,
Right.
11th hour type of, it just doesn't produce the product we like.
So will you, when you meet, I mean, I hope you would talk, the way you talk with Diab, with Jack about the agenda, and that this whole landmarking topic is something that's pretty huge.
I don't know anything about this landmarking topic.
We're going to talk about it at 9:45.
All right, so,
43.
so Brian, we need to
Exactly.
just schedule with historical commission as soon as we can fit it into our agenda.
Yeah, I mean, and other
We'll figure
That
out.
needs to be pushed to the forefront.
not July, or what are you saying?
When we can fit it in next with everything we got going on.
June, I mean, June's
gone.
June's done, basically, is the
Okay,
problem.
So the first meeting in July
Yeah,
then?
it is for,
We could meet May 29th. We don't actually have a meeting
I can't-
scheduled. but
you don't,
everyone's-
you don't have a meeting scheduled, but I have a meeting
Oh,
scheduled.
okay.
Uh,
I'm joking. I'm joking.
May 29th is the
Don't
HPP
joke.
advisory meeting. Oh, actually, you know what?
It's in the middle of the day.
No, it's not. But it's actually, we can meet then. We could meet on the 29th. It's only from 5:30 to 7:30, so I could meet after that.
So.
You said that was a joke.
I was joking, but.
I
other
think it would be
people-
beneficial.
It's open. It's open.
It's a joke that other people.
But
may
it's
not
also
find
next
funny.
week. It's also next week.
I think it's
So we
beneficial.
got to get that agenda and do that
Tomorrow.
kind of tomorrow.
Yeah,
'Cause I'm out of
exactly.
town Thursday,
That's
Friday,
gonna be-
Saturday.
And we need to
ASAP.
post. So it's possible we could have well, we could do a number of things actually. I think this is a group decision. This is
I'm in
this is
favor of
not
meeting
a,
to
this
get
is not
our-
a my this is not a me decision. I'm an HPP advisory from like probably 5:30 to 7-ish.
I'm gonna
So
be
I
there
will
as well.
be here anyway.
What are you proposing would be the agenda item?
All the things that are not petitions and the historical commission possibly, if we can get them in.
Really tight.
or not them and everything else.
Can we move some of the petitions we were gonna do on the 12th?
The ones that we're not waiting on the historical commission next, right? When is the historical commission meeting
The
next?
4th.
June 4th.
So there's one specifically that we are waiting for historical,
And then we
correct?
have another.
We're also not meeting on the 5th,
Okay.
but I think we had problems with that with the poll.
The poll was, I mean, I was the lone holdout, I think, on the 29th, of those who voted. Which doesn't
Well, the
mean-
5th is still open if the 29th doesn't make sense.
5th is better for me.
We're already meeting on the 12th.
And the 19th.
And
And
the
the-
25th.
Well, the
Yeah.
19th is master plan. We are not meeting on the 19th, nor we're probably not doing business. That's a master plan meeting on the 19th.
It's still a meeting like
Yeah,
every.
it's our live.
No, I have 7 meetings in June.
I'd like to have the 5th off. Actually, I can't. 5th is my son's birthday. Never mind.
Yeah, no, June. This will be one of them, simply because of master plan and HPP and LHD. So it's not a normal month for me, but I usually get 2 or 3 of these months a year where I get like 7 or 8 meetings.
Well, here's an option. What if we were to take the permits that would show up, that we pushed to the 12th, and that we already scheduled for the 12th? And those that we can, we move them to the 29th, and then we schedule the historical committee for the 12th, maybe?
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, there are a couple petitioners that are going to be there on the 12th because they know it's on the 12th because they contacted me. I can figure that out, but that's only
It
one or
shouldn't
2.
tie us
Okay.
up,
No,
though.
So that shouldn't hang
Yeah, no,
for
but
too
we
long, I hope.
we should coordinate it.
Yeah, of
I mean,
course.
if we
Because it's
can.
That's
moving
where-
it several
that's
weeks
right.
earlier. if
Well, we
want
just
to.
turn to Brian.
So the 29th, we try to close out as many petitions as we can,
Like
that are-
all of them.
except for the one historical commission one we have.
Well, like I said, there's also this one petitioner that is able to come on the 12th.
Okay.
That specifically contacted me, and it happens to be the largest petition of the bunch.
Of course.
So it's an important one,
So we'll put that
not a
on.
straightforward one.
Okay. So why don't we, I mean.
So I think we should keep that on the 12th. Is
So
what I'm saying.
here's a thought, and someone can make a motion, because I can't, is that we do exactly that. We'll leave that one petition on the 12th. We contact the historical commission, see if we can meet with them on the 12th. We move all of the petitions that are possible to the 29th, and we have other discussions on the 29th, which I guess we'll come up with.
Well, there's agenda, all the
So,
items
Town
to do.
common.
yeah, also moving all those petitions to the 29th. So it would just be the petitions, and then anything else that we just.
Well,
Well, we have so much to-dos and things that we're,
Okay, I'm just trying to.
like even the select board stuff we could get off, the select board name from selectmen to select board. You could, by the 29th, you'll know exactly what we need to
The
do. We
map,
can put the
the
motion
zoning
in,
map,
make the
can we start
motion to
looking
go
at that?
forward.
Yeah, I think Brian's already started some work on that. We can put that on the.
What, on what? I missed that.
on
GBD 2 and 3.
We're removing the residential slots.
Oh, yeah, that's not language. I mean, that's a map.
It's a map.
That's a map.
Let's look at it.
But we want to contact the butters and things like that, so. Brian, you have hesitance in your voice when you.
Well, I think the only thing where the hesitance is like, I guess I don't want, I want to know everything that we're going to be talking about on that meeting, for the 29th, only because, just so to keep on schedule, that's all.
Well,
I
would
mean,
the 5th
Well,
be
we're
better?
meeting
I
tomorrow
mean,
morning going over stuff, so we could come up with a draft agenda, and then everyone can
okay.
do the standard, send out agenda items that you want.
All right,
to
so
cover.
we will plan on meeting next week.
Okay.
Liz, can you meet next week? Yeah.
So that was a suggestion. We need to have the board actually.
I don't think we need a vote. I think
No.
No, you don't.
I want to, do people think they can make it?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so begrudgingly, we are meeting on the 29th. Not begrudgingly, sad.
Right.
Actually-
So yeah, I'm meeting. Okay, I'm sorry. There's
Okay.
there's too many meetings in June. That's okay. So yeah. Right. So I have a meeting from 5:30 to 7. So yes, sorry.
Okay.
I'm just thinking
Yeah, it's
too
okay.
out loudly.
That's all right. You're fine.
All right, we'll figure that out tomorrow. So we're meeting on the 29th.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Brian and I will get an agenda tomorrow morning, and then we'll circulate that, and people
Perfect.
can pile lots of stuff on that we'll ignore. No, I mean, that we'll add. And then final agenda will be out by Thursday, I guess.
Perfect.
And asking if the historical commission can meet on the 12th.
Yeah.
Right.
And it would help if they know what the topics are. We've had problems communicating when we're having a joint meeting.
But no, I've been talking to Jack about joint meetings.
As I have said multiple times this evening, it was my mistake. It won't happen again.
May
So
29th.
I will say mea culpa one last time.
Oh, no need.
Okay, so now it's 9:35. We have essentially two things left in reviewing action items. So the one of rules and regs for section 7.3 demolition 511.
I have that here.
You have that. So this is an important thing. There's language that Art has
Thank you.
made.
Oh, thanks.
Art has not weighed too much into this.
No,
He
but
just
he-
said, it's like, yeah, I mean, the language might have to get a little bit.
Tweaked
So
a
what
little.
are we actually looking
Did John
at?
have
This
one?
is the existing.
Yeah, I have, so it has both on it.
Okay, so the existing language is,
The existing language is not in bold.
is
So this
not-
was, so A, right now, A is what we voted and is on the books currently. It was a change from the original document.
Okay.
So A, this, in the document, and when I say document, I mean CBD rules
Yeah, the rules and regs,
7.3.
right.
So A has that change in there that basically says that it's a 53G situation, so that's there. The question now is what to do with B. Some members of the planning board know this, some don't, is that when I talked with Art, he said based upon the language in the previous paragraph, so just above A,
Right.
it says that this is already an A or B situation. This is not an A and B situation.
Oh.
So the way, and the reason why is because it says, I mean, if you look at the last line of that paragraph, I'll just let you guys read that for a second, but it says, specifically each or in combination of. So saying that it's already the only way a special permit can be granted is either A or B. So that's the way it reads. So the question before the board now is, what is a potential change? Everyone had said under all circumstances, and this is on every side of the coin here, everyone wanted to beef up B because what's currently on the books for B is essentially nothing.
wash.
I mean, it's like a by right project. Yeah, it has to blend in. The only comment I have about beefing up B or even resembling anything that looks like B is that I think it's already on the books as well, because the only way that they're in this in the first place is because it's for a special permit. So that we have the special permit language that it has to be. Actually, no, I take it back. Actually, that's not true. The beneficial impacts that has to outweigh the adverse is only for site plan review. It is not for special permit
Yep.
criteria. So I take it back. That is not true. So then this would be an addition, and it actually would be a beefier version. However, probably a better idea would be to change 9.4.2, the special permit criteria, to mimic what's in site plan review. And that way, it would take care of it no matter what.
Well, that's throughout entire zoning. So no, I get that.
Well, 942 is, however,
That's how we review, we use this criteria for 9.4.2 to review center business district special permits.
Right.
so the problem is 942 is in the bylaws, which won't get changed until the fall.
Right.
So until then, we at least need to do something.
Art had no problem with the language. I can't imagine anyone at this table would have a problem with the language. It's not super strong, meaning that if you really wanted to beef it up, it's essentially a standard special permit, in my opinion, meaning that I think we should be doing that on all special permits, and we should change. It's kind of weird that we only have it in
Put
site
that on
plan.
your list for next.
Right.
It's kind of weird that we only have this language in site plan review and
You're
didn't in
right.
special permit, and this was.
There's for the 29th.
Oh, yes.
Who's doing the,
Good night, there you go, you're up.
Actually, okay, so
it's like Schroeder at the piano.
has everyone had a chance to read the alternative language?
Yes, I have two thoughts. If,
Just make sure.
Okay, everyone read.
Everyone read and say yes when you're done.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, Heather, please go.
I think, so B had 2 points in it that are important. One is it is compatible with the historical context, and that it was designed by a registered architect.
Right.
That was specifically put in there.
Yep.
So I think after beneficial impacts of the community of the proposed change, we include, comma, has been designed by a registered architect, comma, and achieves compatibility with the historical context. Well, you don't need the and there, so achieves compatibility with the historical context of the CBD and will outweigh the loss of the historical. So I can see benefit in adding those 2 points into also beef. So we're beefing it up that it's compatible with an architect, but then also it needs to outweigh.
I agree.
I don't remember talking about deleting that. I thought you always wanted to just add language to what was there.
It was to beef up B, but it wasn't,
Not to remove what already existed for
No. It just, when I was looking at it.
Those two
I just
are
picked it up when-
deliberate,
Yeah.
and I think we'd want to lose those.
So, Brian, you are sitting there in the editor.
Merging, really.
I mean, I have the document that you're looking at right now.
So did you follow what Heather was saying?
Not fully.
So.
Not that she said it wrong, I was getting the document.
I understand.
So,
Got it.
Would you read the thing as you prefer it?
if the proposed replacement of a historical resource has substantial beneficial impacts to the community, comma, has been designed by a registered architect, comma,
Stop.
Wait, yeah, designed by a registered architect, yep.
achieves compatibility with the historical context of the CBD, comma,
Achieves compatibility with the historical context
Of the CBD,
of the CBD,
and will outweigh, and then just pick up.
and will outweigh the loss of the historical resources
Yeah,
determined by the
merged.
SPGA. The
That's
SPGA
good.
may grant the permit.
Okay, so can you please reread that?
Yes, here we go.
Okay,
So this is B alternative.
got it.
If the proposed replacement of a historical resource has substantial beneficial impacts for the community, has been designed by a registered architect, achieves compatibility with the historical context of the CBD, and will outweigh the loss of the historical resources determined by the SPGA may grant the permit in accordance with the town of Winchester's, not regulations, zoning bylaw. Winchester zoning bylaws, actually, Winchester zoning bylaw and these rules and regulations.
Right,
Okay,
So that, yep.
right.
so do we have a motion to accept this new language?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Did I go too fast?
No, you didn't. I was going to say if maybe we could pass this last one by Art.
Sure.
If Art has no problems, the vote stands. If Art.
That's
That's
kind of just,
fine.
but, barring any comments from town council or
Right.
something
Right,
like that.
barring any comments by town council.
Sorry.
Point out that the other had been approved by him,
Yeah.
so it
Right.
shouldn't be.
Okay.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, that's a pretty hefty bar, but
yeah, I think we're set.
Okay.
Okay, excellent.
Okay.
Next, and we have.
Subcommittees and action items.
So the subcommittees, the subcommittees that I know of, and obviously we don't have time to talk about them, was I'll call them subcommittees. There was landmarking, and that was originally Maureen and Brian were working on that. And I know, Maureen, your time commitments this summer have gone really through the roof. So why don't we talk about this at another meeting and see how we can manage
I think the
expectations?
main thing is, and if Brian could just do the listservs, I don't do those listservs, you have them. I think it's pretty quick, just ask for who's got some landmarking. We know Newton does. Cambridge does, I'm not sure if it's relevant. Actually, John's worked with landmarking, I think, in the city of Boston. But I think just get the language, just prepare it. And then we collectively look at it, or I'll look at it first and make a recommendation. I don't think that's too burdensome if we just pick up some other communities' examples. So the two listservs to Brian that he uses are the mass planners.
Mass planners and then
the mass, and it could be,
Historic
for one
preservation.
more, if you don't mind, Chris Kelly, just an email to him and just ask if he's got some, if he can send some landmarking names of communities.
what is the goal? To landmark a specific building?
They're,
to just have it in the book so
For
we could?
example, remember, well, it's to tee it up, but you remember how actually, it was a total coincidence because I was already interested in this, but Diab had circulated this article that was in the Globe about that house in Newton, and it was going to, the question was, would it be landmarked? And it's usually an extremely high standard for well, it's not usually, that's the nature of it. And you typically, I don't know for a fact, but my impression is we're talking about, like in Newton, there are probably a dozen of these, but there are buildings I can think of that are especially vulnerable, and I'm eager to get going. I think it would go to town meeting.
How could it not?
Right, that's exactly.
Yeah,
So, and I think it goes into a town bylaw, it's not zoning, so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it would be general.
So
bylaw.
Yeah, it'd be
it's
a general bylaw,
Actually,
yeah.
Gretchen Schuler had once written up a memo for us on landmarking, so.
It was when we were doing the potential LHDs and
But landmarking's
heritage.
different.
No, it's totally
Right.
different. But she was saying all of our potential options.
Right,
Yeah,
LHD, architectural preservation, conservation district, landmarking, all, those are all
Yeah.
tools in the
Right.
toolbox.
So when you, after you've done this research, could you reach out to the historical commission and see what they, reach out to the chair and see if they're interested in providing some input? Because I presume they would be of interest, they would have an interest.
Is there a specific strategy, Maureen, of what building you're looking at to landmark at this
I
point?
have one that inspired me, and I'm hesitant to say, right now, so I think that we should detach this from any particular building. But
For town meeting, you're saying going in with a landmarking without a building attached to it?
we might want to attach, so let's first look at the bylaws and
It's a
then,
great tool to have
right.
in any case.
It's a fabulous tool to have because actually if you landmark a building, you can actually halt 40Bs using landmarking.
There are a lot of benefits to it.
So to have it on the
Yeah,
books for the town meeting, to have that option to call a town meeting and landmark a building.
Yeah. So that's, regardless of.
I
any
believe I'm
particular
correct in saying
buildings.
landmarking halts 40Bs.
Oh, actually, so do local historic districts, so do architectural districts. Oh, definitely. But, that's a conversation maybe for another day, but yes.
It certainly
absolutely.
is.
It does.
So thank you.
Action items.
So,
Or are we still-
no, the
Oh, we
other
still-
one, we have the building department forums.
Forms.
And last I recall, Heather Mering and Maureen had both raised their hands at.
We were waiting for where they stood. We were going to get copies of all the.
I'm just,
All the
No, that was
form-
an action item. Brian
Right.
was going to gather all the forms and give them to
And go
Maureen and
from,
I.
go from there.
okay, so
Yeah,
you've got
perfect.
that?
Yeah, I did not have that as an.
You know what
action
though? That was
I could do that.
very early
Yeah.
on before we started this system. So the system is add it to the list.
Add it to the list.
But that's what I think Maureen and I are waiting for is all the current forms
Okay,
dates.
so that is
Got it.
excellent.
And just the way, by the way, as we asked Design Review what they thought of the forms when we meet with historical, we should also be looking at the forms. And I know they're really negligent in terms of National Register.
One of the hopes I'm having is with these subcommittees is that some of that work can be done outside of the main meetings because
Yes.
we'll
Right.
run out of time.
Right, but I'm just saying for our joint meeting with historical,
Yeah, no, I
there's
agree.
agenda
Yeah.
items, and I don't remember all these things.
Yes.
And the only other committee that I know of is the ADU committee, accessory dwelling units.
We're
which
meeting
is-
on Thursday.
And then, you're meeting on Thursday, so that's it, that was subcommittees.
I would love an update after your meeting
For
on the
ADUs?
29th on the AD. Yeah, because actually that's been a hot topic. A lot of people have been asking me about it.
Yeah, no, most people want it. It's what is anecdotally, meaning the people that come into my office. But
Well, Diab had asked us to do some research and give a presentation to the board.
Okay.
So we're
we're
meeting
going to talk about that.
to talk about that and work on
Just to
it.
bring us up to speed on
Yeah.
Great.
what the local communities do, anything.
Okay.
And then,
I had one more action item that I had a question on. That
okay, well, we're at action items, and it's only 9:55, so we're doing well.
Or so you say.
It's actually a big
11.
one. It's a big one. The town manager committee.
Yeah,
And so
the
it
search
previously,
committee.
like when Brian was hired, every board and committee had an opportunity to meet with Brian prior to the.
So I got a little.
Planning board appointment.
I got a little information about this.
Yes.
So the search committee, I think they're going to get it down to around somewhere between 7 to 10 applicants.
How many
Okay.
did they get?
40 something.
Oh,
Yeah.
Somewhere in there, I
Oh,
think,
that's
is what I
great.
heard.
So they're trying to whittle that down
Don't.
to like 10.
Okay.
And then once they get that down to 3,
Right.
that's when I think they're going to start doing all these interviews with
course,
with
okay.
town staff, as well as I don't know how many boards and committees are involved.
I hope that we are.
Could we just write a letter saying that we would like to be involved in the final
Should come from
candidates?
Sure.
To the select
Yeah.
board and to, I think, Tom Holly
I
is
have
the
to say,
chair of
Yeah,
it.
he's the
when
chair- he's the chair of it, I
current manager
believe.
was hired, a member of this board was on that committee.
I know, and
Right.
we're not on that committee, so
Right.
I just want to make sure that we stay in the loop because they do have a direct
There's a
impact
certain-
on
So
how
why
we
did
can
that
function
change? Why
efficiently.
wasn't there someone from this board?
They
It's the
removed
discretion
boards
of
off.
Oh,
There's no boards on it. There's no select board on that. It's all residents.
really?
That's interesting.
That seems weird.
It's run
I
by.
agree.
It does seem weird because the town manager has so much,
Yeah, there's a lot of
I think
experience. you
pretty
get
awesome
from
Yeah.
A lot of the
to be
people
honest.
on
It's
there.
pretty what?
It's the committee that they've formed to do this is top notch, regardless of
Oh, yeah.
whether they're not incorporating other boards and committees. Like
It just seems like an interesting choice.
I would say it's why the change, considering the product that they produced, with being Richard, everyone has said is a
But it was a very different committee, sorry.
is a different committee.
Different
Wait,
committee.
what was that end of
I
your
was going to say
sentence?
that why did they make
Oh,
the
town
change,
council.
considering that it was such a positive experience that we've had here in Winchester since Richard being here, that's how they found them. Why not recreate?
Right, right.
okay.
Why change it?
I thought it had to do with town council, that they had said, this is how they did town council. It was specifically this way. There was no board or committees on the town council hiring process.
well, that's not strictly
Anyway, it
true
is-
because,
Okay, so I have an
because
action item for DM.
we were originally using our.
I have an action on my
our
item for
board,
you.
so.
We're going to go with that.
Excellent.
So-
Sure, we had it.
We can go over them. I have 12 action items from this meeting.
Okay.
Contact Jay Gill to determine the level of involvement with traffic islands. Contact the street tree committee regarding lights left on trees in the spring. How to let the abutters know about other boards and committee
Oh,
meetings.
hang on, back up.
Yeah.
You could also talk to Jay, you've heard it from people who know trees, that there's concern about the lights that wrap, the wires, really.
Well,
the
yeah,
lights,
that's-
the
He said
wires.
That
So
that was the item.
Ed
Yeah.
J did
Oh.
that.
That was the item.
That's exactly what I.
That was the
Well,
item.
the street- he's the
You
he's
said
the
street
chairman
tree.
of the street
No,
tree
but
committee.
One of
No,
them
no,
has to
he's
do with
not
the
the chairman.
islands.
I'm actually the chairman of the
Oh.
street tree committee, but he's the tree
He's the
warden.
tree warden.
Okay.
Yes.
well,
But I
that's-
thought Betsy was going, that was Betsy's to do, was to follow up on the lights on the trees.
Right.
I can do that.
That is her action item.
That's right.
I can send. I'm obviously. Everyone's going to have this all the
Right.
time.
I think
so.
it's not a question, it's more, they really should, I mean, I'm going to state it flat out. They need to come off periodically. They.
Yes.
Especially during the
Okay,
spring.
so
That's,
Okay.
yes.
Betsy gets that.
As part of the forms, is how to let abutters know about other boards and committee meetings, whether we're going to have some type of.
Regarding the permitting.
Yeah, with having to do with the permitting. Email the Winchester Historical Commission to inform them that they should be emailing the DRC their B forms as well as their minutes. Does the Whip Saltmarsh Town Common Committee
Oh,
go?
hang on. Actually, those B forms should come to us too.
We get them, or I get them periodic. Not for every time, but most of them they do get sent to me.
Okay.
Oh, we haven't been seeing them.
So I have that on my to-dos, is to speak to Jack regarding Maxwell Road and Form Bs with petitions. To submit the Form Bs with the petitions to.
Okay, so I will
in
put.
their meeting minutes.
So I will put that under you.
And don't forget to add Maxwell Road.
Yeah, I'll put the B forms and
Which
their
Maxwell
minutes.
has to do with the substantial demolition.
Right,
Two
that's-
different houses.
it's
that
two
have been
different things.
Totally stripped.
And then-
However, we don't actually need to because we have a member of the Historical Commission here, so I could just close it out right now.
That's right. Okay,
John?
Wait, I'm just going to keep going.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so does the Whip Saltmarsh Town Common Committee go through the select board? Who is on the committee? Essentially, have a full conversation with what's going on with how that was
Exactly.
done.
Better understanding of what books. Yeah.
HVM and MM send Brian all maps from the Triangle Master Plan if you can find them. Thank you. Talk to Jack about the landmarking bylaw and other ideas for the first week of July with the Historical Commission. But actually, no, that's going to be June 12th. We're going to see if we can meet with June 12th. Ideas for potential June 12th meeting. Can the WAC meet on? Oh, that was the other one. Bylaw change for 942 to potentially incorporate beneficial language outweighing negative impacts that we see in site plan review. Question to historic listserv, mass planner listserv of getting more landmark bylaws. Question to WHC about their opinion once we have potential landmark bylaws, and then email the town, DIAB is to email the town manager search committee regarding planning board's involvement with the process.
And I have one last item that I forgot to mention. So Lance Grensback and others are setting up something he's calling the State of the Town Working Group.
I have, and
And this is a new group that's meeting over the summer, and he gave me a brief description, which was apparently too brief because I don't recall the contents of it. And so I will be meeting with, he asked me to meet with them, and I will let you know. There are a number of people here who I actually do not recognize.
What is the, we don't know what the purpose of
The purpose of this was essentially to kind of look at the, in part it's financial. So there are.
Override.
So
Yeah,
there-
we're gonna have an,
He was talking
we're
to us
gonna have an
about the
override soon.
override.
They're
That's what it
getting ready
was.
for the
Thank you, you were there, you can remind me.
We're
So,
getting ready for the override.
so there are a
Yeah.
number of people here I do recall, I do know who is on this mailing list.
FinCom?
FinCom, school board, and then there are people.
We're gonna have one soon, so it's.
Probably Jay's
So,
on there,
and then-
Jay's on there, the police is probably on there.
No.
Okay.
Anyway, but the point is, this is meeting, I will let you know
So,
Yep.
what's happening, I just, something, anyway.
okay.
So, action items will be sent out, I'm guessing, I don't know, I mean, probably, I guess, a standard time, like every week or whatever.
Yeah.
But so, soon, there's not going to be sending out of anything. It's just all going to be there. We're going to have documents. The goal is for us to have documents, and if you want to go look and see where we are regarding something, you can just go to that.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is hopefully we'll get some real software behind the action items.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
With that coming in, the planning board needs to be ready to talk about our financials and where we project and where we're projecting, including an assistant town manager,
That was,
town
yeah.
planner.
Yeah,
A recording secretary for the design review would be
Okay.
also something
yeah, I had brought up, we used to have a semi-regular.
The expenditures.
Review of the expenditures. And
Yes.
So we were supposed to,
Yeah.
we were supposed to do
That's right, the
that.
assistant town planner, we would like to see come in to play with these.
It's
So,
really huge.
those are action items that we can add to new
A
ones.
zoning officer.
We haven't
Zoning
actually-
enforcement.
Yeah, zoning, yeah, so we'll
Yeah.
talk about, I'm gonna write this down here.
A bubbler in town meeting, in town hall would be nice.
There is one.
There is one.
That can fill water bottles.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean-
Those fancy ones that tell
You mean
how
like the
many-
You don't like the
Filtered
one
tap
from
one?
1963 downstairs?
Okay.
One that you could just put a water
Do I have a
bottle in.
motion to adjourn?
Well, not use this
So
tap
moved.
water. It's-
Do I have a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
If we start talking about bubblers, it's then.
No,
So
like,
that's
I think
Midwest.
every,
I know, I know. I can,
the water fountains.
yeah.
So I did print this town of Concord on the special permit site plan review, and it's got.
Thank you,
a bunch of
Ann,
things.
if you're still awake. Thank you,
Thanks,
Winchester.
John, for coming.